Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the ultimate Cleveland sports show, along with Dustin Fox, G. Bush. I'm Adam the Bull. We're all in a shade of green today. Look at that.
Yeah, we are.
Different shades of green. You got like kind of a lime green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
G. Bush has got a, what would you say, a forest green?
Yeah, just that OU Bobcats green.
I don't know what my green is.
That's that Bobcats green.
Dark green, maybe?
Yeah.
You got any green back there,
green.
too? Hunter, this is Hunter green?
Yeah.
Forest green.
Hunter green.
Forest
None of
green?
us are wearing green. So
Forest green?
Forest?
That's how you said it. Forest?
What about over there? Any green? Any green over there?
No green back here, guys. Sorry.
No green. You guys green. I was just telling the guys that I saw this movie Begonia, which was, I think it was up for Best Picture. Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone. I won't say anything about it. I'll just say watch it. Watch it. Trust me. It's really good. There's basically only 3 actors in the whole movie. That's it. It's the 2 of them and one other guy. Basically, there's one other role that's very small, and then the rest is basically just extras. But it's
I thought that was like
amazing.
So, I'm like, so they was in the same room the whole doggone day?
not the whole movie, but a lot of it takes place in one place. Yeah, in one spot. So
That's
anyway, it's so interesting because there's not a lot of. I feel like a lot of the movies these days are sequels or remakes or animation, and there's some good stuff. But when you get an original idea like this, like the DiCaprio movie, which the title's escaping me right now, I also watched recently, Black Phone. And that's the thing about
Black Phone's really good.
Yeah, and I know that's been out for a couple of years, but horror movies is now, like when I was a kid, horror movies were, I think, generally original, a lot of them. And now horror movies have become better movies.
But you're really not watching like the old school horror.
No, yeah, that's not
These are more like psychological thrillers.
Yes, that's true. That movie was certainly Black Phone. I'm looking forward. Black Phone 2 is coming out on Peacock this weekend, so I'm looking forward to watching that. Anyway, there's so much good stuff out there right now, including sports and a lot to get to. Mike, before we do, what do you got?
Before we do, Dustin, for the first time I think since he's joined UCSS, requested a minute to talk about something.
I know.
It was kind of crazy.
I said like
Dustin,
3 minutes, but
There was a lot of conversation in our chat group with tennis.
Yeah.
well, I'm glad to have the floor, guys. It's truly a privilege. Truly an honor.
Tell us about this.
No, it's cool. So like the Australian Open, which is about to begin in a couple of weeks here. So they're in their Aussie swing right now. Part of this is they had this idea to have pros and amateurs compete against each other in tennis.
Are these like amateurs like you who are good athletes?
It's anybody.
It's not just basically a guy off the street.
It could be anybody. So they had like these little like satellite tournaments. Where anybody could enter. You could have entered. Literally anybody could enter.
That was like Happy Gilmore. That's how the original. Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that you get the premise.
Okay.
So essentially, you play 1 point. And it's a point, so anybody can win a point. Points go like.
Oh, so these satellite tournaments was just 1 point. That was it.
And then you advance.
1 point. One volley
through the bracket, right? Yeah, it could be one, but whatever. You win the point. You win. That's the match.
Oh,
it's
wow.
1 point.
Okay.
And so then they had a bracket for the big tournament.
Okay.
And like a lot of the pros like Alcaraz and Sinner and some of these guys, Zverev, who's number 4 in the world or whatever. I mean, these guys are all in it.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
By the time they got to the final tournament, now you have pros and amateurs, and 1 point you win. Literally one serve, one volley.
Yeah.
You could ace on the first, and you won the match.
You advance.
So how many people were in this final thing?
The final bracket, I want to say there was probably maybe 60 players or something.
Okay. So
I just texted the group.
I know. I was driving in, so I couldn't read it.
How'd the amateurs get it?
How did the amateurs make it that far if there's only 60 people in the final group?
Well, I mean, what do you mean how'd they make it that far?
Like, aren't there more than 60 pros?
But here's the thing.
Well, the pros can lose too.
Along the way, they played the pros, because it's only one.
And I don't know all the details about how but like the top players, I think they got wild cards into the final draw.
But like,
the main draw.
You would think that a pro, even for 1 point, is not going to lose to an amateur.
On a first serve,
But
you can get a big out
But
of here.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
There's a couple caveats.
Okay.
So as the professional
Yeah.
only gets one serve. So like if you're Yannick Sinner, you if you miss your first serve, you get a second serve.
Right.
Yeah.
And typically a second serve, you take a little bit off. It
Right,
makes
right,
sure you
right.
get it in.
Yeah.
Well, the pros only got one serve. And
So they had
so
to kind of take something off a little bit.
yeah, because like Sinner
Yeah.
was in the semifinals or the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
He missed a serve. So the amateur advanced.
That's
That's the
funny.
guy. So the guy that I seen in the video that won
Yeah.
the whole tournament.
Yeah.
He had to play center. He's probably crapping his pants.
Yeah.
And center missed the serve, and so he wins.
Oh
That's
my
crazy.
And so he
God.
advanced.
What did he win?
He advanced.
Okay, there's no money prizes.
Well, he won the whole thing.
Oh, so
$1 million.
He won $1 million because Sinner missed the serve.
Well, this was earlier in the tournament. He didn't even play center in the final.
Oh.
He played center in like the quarters.
Did he play at pro in the finals?
He did. A woman
Yeah.
who was 117th in the world. I mean,
Okay.
she's a good player.
Yeah, but she's a pro, but
Better than an
yeah.
amateur player.
Yeah, sure.
But again, she only
1 point.
But she only gets one serve,
Yeah.
and so the female serves not nearly what a man serve is.
Right.
So she serves kind of a weak serve.
Yeah.
The guy hits it back, and then she hits a backhand and missed it. Went out. Wow. And the guy wins $1 million.
Crazy. He must be a good amateur. Like
You
he
just
probably
gave
played.
me an idea.
Yeah, these guys play.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy looked like the guys I play with.
You just gave me an idea how to
wild.
save the Pro Bowl and the NBA All-Star game. They need to have these real dudes.
Oh, this is a big thing now. I mean,
Yeah,
because it
there's
has
a lot you could do out of
because it
this.
had success and an amateur actually won the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I think that this is going to be a thing.
Can you imagine one-on-ones at the Pro Bowl with two amateurs and a quarterback throwing to them?
I mean,
Like
there's
that-
lots of ways you can go with
You
this.
could have like an amateur basketball player against an NBA player. The NBA player's got to score 21. The amateur's got to score 1.
Or they can play continuous one-on-one, and the pro gets 3 dribbles to score.
That's true. You got to limit the dribble.
and
Yeah.
so-
yeah.
The key that what made this successful, I think,
Yeah.
guys, is that it's so quick.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
1 point, and truly in tennis, the great thing about tennis is like even the pros, they lose 50% of the points.
Right.
Like
right.
every point you play, it's a coin flip. So
Yeah.
so even with amateurs,
Right.
I mean, let's say it goes down to 10% that you have a chance, 20%
Yeah.
to win a point, but 1 point, and it's possible to do it.
That is crazy.
You're not a better tennis player than Carlos
No,
Alcaraz.
Of course not. But I think this would be tougher to replicate in other
I
sports.
do. I think tennis works out well
I'm trying to think like what could you do in baseball?
because it's kind of a game within a game, right? I mean, in tennis, you got to win 4 points to win a game. You got to win
Right.
6 games to win a set. You got to win 3 sets to win a match.
Yeah.
In a major.
And in tennis, you could screw up yourself. Like, there's more unforced errors than in other sports
There's
on a one-on-one
so many
situation.
mental unforced errors in
Yeah.
tennis. In fact, tennis, you could argue, is
Yeah.
more of a mental game than maybe any sport.
One pitch, you could do whatever. It was an amateur pitcher
Yeah.
versus a Major League Baseball hitter, and they got one pitch, and in that one pitch, the Major League Baseball hitter has to either hit a home run or has to, I would say home run.
Yeah, it has to hit a home run.
Got to hit a home run.
I bet you Jay could win on, you know.
Here's what would make
probably be able to do that.
here's what would make some sense is strike out a pro batter.
Man, I don't know that. I don't think any
It's not
amateur pitcher
happening.
could do that.
It's not happening.
No, but you only need 1 strike.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Could Jay strike out a major league batter
0-2 count.
on an 0-2 count? It'd be tough. I don't know. Maybe.
and if he strike, that's crazy because then you
You start with an 0-2 count.
You start with
Yeah.
0-2, and if you miss, you just out. Get out. Next batter.
Bowling's definitely a sport where it
Yeah.
can happen because bowling.
I went bowling on Saturday.
How'd you do?
I actually bowled one of the best rounds of my life. Well, I'm
What'd you get?
not a good bowler. 150.
Yeah.
I was happy about it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
could be an
Off the
amateur
top.
and bowl a 300 game.
Yes.
Like, you have to be someone who bowls regularly, but you could do it. That's possible.
Peterlin's had a perfect game.
Yeah, Peterlin's an excellent bowler. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, it's just
That is wild. That
we
is
did.
kind of funny.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention,
Well,
Dustin.
did this start because of what I texted you this morning? Is that how the whole conversation started?
I was already on the. I was
What
already.
event was that I texted you?
I think that was Adelaide. It's another Aussie tournament. They're
Because
playing
whenever
right
I
now.
see something on social media about either horror movies or
He always texts me.
Yeah.
or
Which I appreciate.
tennis, I text him.
And I appreciate that.
Just like I text G. Bush if I see anything on anime
Yeah.
or Marvel.
No, not Marvel. More anime.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Mike.
We got a big show. We have reached our tennis limit, Dustin.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Our tennis
Thank you,
limit
guys.
for 2026.
And that's
we
our
just
tennis
fulfilled
correspondent.
Thank you.
14
Dustin
days
Fox.
into the year, and we got some football to talk about. We're going to start with the latest twists and turns in the Browns coaching search after a quick reminder that FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. The NFL playoffs are here, guys, at FanDuel. It's always in playoff mode, but right now it's even bigger than before. Every game day during the playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Right now, every NFL playoff game, FanDuel is giving users a profit boost pack that's waiting for them inside the app. Just make your picks like usual, then apply the profit boost to get even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. Just visit FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every single NFL playoff game day. Guys, another candidate has entered the free agency pool to an extent.
Well, he's not a free. No, you're
That's why
wrong.
I said to an extent. To an extent.
Not
Of
free agency.
possible candidates for the Browns to inquire as a head coach. Mike Tomlin stepped down from the Pittsburgh Steelers after 19 seasons, and because he stepped down, he is technically not a free agent. A team that wants to hire and or acquire Mike Tomlin would have to give up some sort of asset to Pittsburgh via
You have to trade for him.
Exactly, so some sort of trade. So he's not technically free agent. That's why I said to an extent. Dustin, you
Yes.
played for Mike Tomlin back
Did.
in the day, so I want to get your 2 cents on this first. And you don't have a picture because you didn't send us one like you did with Harbaugh, but
I think I have one of Tomlin.
what can you tell us about Tomlin? And before we get to the second part of this question, do you think he'd ever come to Cleveland? Let's just get that out of the way first and foremost.
Okay, so part one is, would he come to Cleveland? Probably not. Why,
can't imagine.
why would you?
Yeah.
And number one, it's one of those things, and this is so rare in pro sports,
Yeah.
but this is kind of the one unique occasion where a guy, I mean, 19 years, right, guys?
Yeah.
19 years at Pittsburgh. The organization's had 4 coaches since they've been in existence. Been to multiple Super Bowls, won one, multiple playoff appearances. I think he won the AFC North 8 times. The guy is a hell of a coach, Hall of Famer. We know that. It'd be like Jim Tressel coaching Michigan if he came to the Browns. And you can never really say that much too often in pro sports because pro sports don't really have the connection like kind of like college athletics. But it feels like that would be a betrayal to Pittsburgh fans. And that guy's going to have a statue someday or whatever. I mean, he's going to be looked upon as one of the GOATs, as the way that they look at Chuck Noll or Cower or who, all their coaches that they've had. I mean, he's a legend. So he wouldn't coach the Browns. No.
What's the other part of the question?
No, it'd be a bad career move.
Would you?
What was the second part? Sorry,
Would he
I'm
come
sorry.
to Cleveland? And then we're going to get to the second part, which is, let's just say John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin were both interested. Which one would you prefer to coach the Cleveland Browns?
What would you prefer?
Oh, I mean, you can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. I'd prefer Tomlin between
Yeah.
the two, but
Can't go wrong. I think that I mean, even if you put a gun to my head, I'd be hard pressed to pick one because they're both so good.
I just
And-
think Tomlin's done more with less in recent years, in my opinion. That's
Yeah.
why I lean towards Tomlin.
It's a
Yeah.
tough one, Dustin.
But anyway.
I mean, Tomlin's more. I mean, remember he cut his teeth as a DC.
Right.
Was a DC in Tampa with Gruden.
Yeah.
And those guys before he went to Minnesota. So he had success as a defensive coordinator. That he was my coordinator at Minnesota before he took the job in Pittsburgh. So he's obviously, he's got a familiarity more so with defense and defensive backs. Harbaugh really was a special teams guy.
Yeah.
So I think Harbaugh's maybe a better overall manager, but I think Tomlin would get the most out of you, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He's a leader. He's clearly as good a leader
Yeah.
of men as there is.
And they both are, and Harbaugh is too. So
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to figure out what the heck I would do in that case because both of them have a tremendous track record. Both of them are in the division. Both of them understand the game. They command a certain level of cachet and respect from the people in the locker room. So for me, it'd be hard pressed to choose between those two guys. I don't think he's coming here again. It just has to do with your trajectory of where your career is at. I always compare it to people in our industry. Like there's a lot of things that you will be willing to do, but I don't think nobody is knocking down the door to do 5-hour shows on a Sunday. Ain't nobody, like, you had a different point in your life where that, you've done that before and you get it. But at the end of the day, that's not something what you're trying to do now where you at in your life. And for Mike Tomlin, who, stepped down, is, that tells me he's a little burned out of the situation. Yeah. He's a little, this stuff kind of wears on you a little bit because, it's all for the last, I would say, about 6 years. The crescendo starts to build and build where people say maybe it's time for a break, maybe it's time for a new vision, maybe it's time. And then he probably looked at it like, he's been trying to find a quarterback after Ben Roethlisberger, just retired. So for me, Bull, yeah, he not coming here. And plus, if there's any one thing about Ohio State and Michigan, like you said, if there's one kind of comparison between college and the pros, I think this would be the case because he has been in this rivalry for 19 years, and he's one of the pillars of what the Steelers are.
I could see him easily going to TV and being a phenomenal analyst. I mean, such a great personality. His press conferences are always great.
Yeah,
he always says the right things, always strikes the right chord. Like he's really good at those sort of things. So I think he would have a great career in TV. And by the way, his predecessor has had a great career in TV, Bill Cowher with CBS. So I could see that happening too. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of funny. I didn't have the career in radio. It was 13 years. We were there together, and he was there 19 years. Yeah. But like, I look back at radio, I'm like, that's another chapter. I'm moving on. I'm still sort of around the game, so to speak. But I'm doing different things. I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah.
Whereas I can see him being done with coaching.
Well, to your point, real quick, Rappaport tweeted out 1 minute ago, and I quote, "In the hours after Mike Tomlin told the Steelers he was stepping down, teams contacted Tomlin to express interest, sources say. Pittsburgh has his rights and draft compensation would be necessary. With that being said, teams were told Tomlin does not plan to coach next season."
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I was going to say even before hearing that, I'd be shocked if he's coaching anywhere.
19 years, and
why would
any job, take a
year off. If he wanted to keep coaching, there was really no reason to stay.
He stepped down. He wasn't fired. He stepped down.
Right. Like, the Rudies are they hire good people and they keep them. I mean,
they don't care what the fans think.
No, just because the fans are unhappy. I mean, again, how many years in a row did I pick them to finish under 500? I get it. I'd be frustrated if I were a Steeler fan too that I haven't won a playoff game in a while.
They never.
But like this, he doesn't put together the roster.
Yeah,
he's not the GM of the team. Like, he has made more with less than in my opinion, than any coach in the league. So he, as good a coach as Harbaugh is, to me, Tomlin's better. Now, it's crazy because a couple of months ago, I said I could see Harbaugh and Tomlin both being gone if they don't, and they both are gone. And Zach Taylor, who's terrible, is the only coach left in this division. In fact, there's only 6 coaches now in the NFL that have been with their team for more than 3 years. 6. And Zach Taylor is one of them, which is insane. But even if he were looking for a job, there's a variety of reasons that you guys have already hit on that he would not come here. I know we want, obviously it comes up, we're going to talk about it, but there's literally no argument for him taking this job. I mean, it doesn't make, you're with 20 years from the most stable, one of the most successful, well-run organizations, and after this Hall of Fame career, you're gonna have your swan song with one of the worst-run franchises. Nobody's doing that.
It's almost, and to see how comparatively crazy it is. Like, when I came out of Ohio Media School, like, they're like, how you send demos all over the place. 92.3 The Fan wasn't even around. It was only ESPN Cleveland. So they would send demo tapes out to different places. They say, send your demo to Lubbock, Texas, and Santa Fe, New Mexico. And you're like, all right, cool, we sending them out. They're like, what do you think about Pittsburgh? And I said, absolutely not. I will not be sending any tapes to Pittsburgh. Like, it's crazy. I don't.
Should have done that.
No, I'm not. No, because
you wouldn't enjoy it.
I couldn't even really tell myself. When I'm playing Madden, I don't even play with the Steelers in Madden.
I worked in New York. I hate the New York teams.
But it's the Steelers.
But Adam, you also lived in New York. You grew up in New York City. If he grew up in Pittsburgh, and even if he hated the Steelers, he could still understand the people there, and he had the accent. You still sound like the people that are there.
Yeah, right. You got people that I can't like today. Hey, G. Bush, we want you to come do a show in Pittsburgh. No, I'm cool, bro. I'm straight. I can't even do that. I can't even lie to you. And Mike Tomlin, I think he kind of feels that same way, but a lot more. Like, no. I'm cool.
There's no compelling argument for Mike Tomlin to coach the Browns. There may be no compelling argument for him to coach, period. He's gonna probably do media or whatever, and then maybe he gets the bug again in a year or two, and maybe he goes to his choice of situations, whatever. He can once he's free agent, he can go wherever he wants.
And by the way, like I know Mike a little bit, you
Yeah.
know, from we're not best friends, but
Yeah.
we are friends. And if I saw him, we'd have a conversation. You
John
know?
Tomlin, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I could see him dipping his toes maybe in college.
Oh, really? Why? What makes you think that?
I mean, dude, the guy is at Ohio State's pro day every year, just hobnobbing with the college coaches and the players, and the way that he related to young players, the younger players, more so than the veterans. He had a great ability to do both. But developing young players, I also think that there's something to be said for like, hey, maybe when you get to his age and you've accomplished so much, like maybe get back to your roots and don't go all the way back to your roots like high school, but maybe a big time college program. It's more like a business now with, having a GM and stuff like that. So that's just something to keep in mind. Yeah. Not next year, but maybe down the line.
I respect the hell out of him because I've been for being here as a Browns fan, diehard since since I was born, growing up in Canton. I'm like, you just want to beat the Steelers. I grew up watching Cowers smoke us, and I'm like, all right, well, look, Cowers going. We finally got one. Then they get Mike Tomlin. He go on a 30-year run or something crazy. But I always respected him because it didn't matter who was at quarterback. Whether it was Duck Hodges or Mason Rudolph or whether it was, Roethlisberger, Trubisky, they always played a certain way.
Russell Wilson.
And the greatest quote of all time is the standard is the standard.
Standard's the standard.
And he lived by it, and his teams played like that. This dude just went out. Like, Steelers, I didn't think the Steelers was that good this year. But even they won the division, had a home playoff game, and then he wrote out, and I'm like, do you know what I would do for a home playoff game and win a division?
Yeah.
Are you serious? That stadium been over there for 30 years, and we still ain't seen a home playoff game.
And for Tomlin, that's a horrible season.
Yeah, and by the way, I know they didn't win the playoff game, but they kind of did because they had to play their way into the playoffs.
Right.
And that game against the Baltimore Ravens was a playoff game.
Yeah, it was.
And they won it.
Yeah.
And those fans really enjoyed it. I guarantee you they enjoyed that night and knowing they're going to the playoffs and they won the division against their rival.
And the Ravens is just crazy. They've just relegated us. The Ravens and the Steelers is the rivalry in the AFC North.
Yeah.
It is not. And it's a shame because would think the Browns would be the right, but they don't look at it like that. No.
Go ahead, Mike.
Two things real quick. We put a poll in the chat. Tomlin or Harbaugh, if you had to pick one for the Browns, which would you prefer? Over 600 votes. What do you think the percentage split is?
60-40 Harbaugh.
I agree with Bull. Something in that neighborhood, maybe 65-35.
For Harbaugh?
50
For Tomlin.
50. You have Tomlin, Bull has Harbaugh, G.
I got Harbaugh.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm taking Tomlin.
I mean, I would take Tomlin
50,
personally, but I think the fans
would
Harbaugh.
like
55-45 Tomlin.
G, the closest. 52-48 Tomlin. So
Wow.
Almost a dead even split. We very rarely, in any poll we make, have a 50-50 split in the chat.
very
That might
close,
be as close with that many votes as we've had in a while. And with John Harbaugh, we're not doing a specific Harbaugh topic, but it did come out this morning. He's officially meeting with the New York Giants this morning. This is from Tom Pelissero. Former Ravens coach John Harbaugh continues to gather information on potential destinations, and the expectation is he'll interview with the Giants, Titans, and Falcons by the end of the week. Other teams remain interested, but those three appear to have the inside track.
It really tells you a lot about...
We talked about it last week. Would it be a win or a loss if he declined and/or accepted an interview with the Browns? What do you make it?
It's just
that he's not taking a Browns
the fact
interview?
that he would talk to the Titans, who have been pretty much they've been as bad as the Browns since Vrabel left.
Well, they went to an AFC title game.
Yeah, they did.
Right, that was with Vrabel.
They've been to the Super Bowl.
No,
not for a long time.
not with Vrabel.
Not with Vrabel, but they've been there.
That was
a while ago.
2000.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, they've been a bad organization. Atlanta hasn't done much winning. I know they got a good owner, but like, it tells you what at least Harbaugh thinks of the Browns, because like, it appears he's not even going to consider them.
I mean, again,
and those teams are like, especially Tennessee. Unless he loves Cam Ward, and obviously, I think most people would rather have Cam Ward than Shedeur Sanders. Besides that, I mean, the rest of that team is pretty awful.
And weird ownership.
And they also have a bad ownership situation.
Again, I think you have to take in consideration.
Also in Nashville.
these guys have been playing against the Browns
I hear
for
you.
years. They don't even like the Browns.
But to me, it's a little different in the Harbaugh situation because he was fired as opposed to Tomlin, who resigned. So Harbaugh could be like, well, screw the Ravens. They fired me after all this time.
But
I don't know if he probably doesn't have that attitude. But
so you don't. But also, he doesn't want to do this. So he just got out of with the Ravens relationship with them.
Yeah.
Now you go to the Browns. Now you're going to have to face the Ravens twice a year.
Right.
And if you're not successful, it's like, all right, well, what did you expect? We're rebuilding things. That's why I never thought he was.
These guys don't have much to gain by going to Cleveland, man.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Like,
but it's not just that they're in the division. It's that he doesn't think he can win here, at least not initially.
Oh, not against the Ravens.
Yeah, no.
And I don't want to see them twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I promise you, if the Browns had Josh Allen, these coaches would be in play.
100%.
Well, yeah, that changes a lot of things.
100%. Go ahead, Mike.
Let's get to our next topic, guys. It stays in the realm of open head coaching jobs. Later today, by the way, Earl's going to put out a new 216 where he and Cecil are going to rank all 9 open head coaching positions and figure out where the Browns fall into the hierarchy of the open positions. So make sure you tune into the YouTube channel later today for a new episode of the Ultimate 216 show with Earl the Pearl and our guy, Cecil Shorts. Speaking of ranking the head coaching job positions, now that the Steelers are open, Bull, you mentioned earlier, the only head coach returning in the AFC North is your guy, Zach Taylor, who, if it was up to you, would have been fired before any of the 3 who actually were fired. So I got into a bit of a back and forth with a few people on Twitter yesterday about what's a more attractive opening, Pittsburgh or Cleveland. And I was, I promise you.
Wait a second.
Yes.
This is a serious question?
It's a serious question. And I'll put a poll. Ant put a poll up. What's a more attractive head
Well,
position?
we live in Cleveland. What do you think people are going to say?
Bull, I said, I don't think the Pittsburgh job is all that attractive. I do think it's more attractive than Cleveland.
Of course, it's more attractive than Cleveland.
Do you think it's close?
Of course not.
Why do you
is
not
it
believe
close?
It's close? Why
Are
not?
you out of your mind?
Why not?
Pittsburgh has been one of the best organizations for 50 years. They've had how much downtime have they had since the 70s?
This will be their 4th head coach in '69.
There's the most stability. It's solid owner. The only thing that the Browns you like better than the Steelers is that clearly Jimmy's willing to spend more than the Rudies have spent. The only other negative about the Steelers is the same problem that is an issue the Browns have, and that's they don't have a quarterback right now. I get it. Yeah, the Browns' defense is better than the Steelers' defense, but come on now. Let's be serious. I understand we all hate the Steelers. I hate the Steelers. Even if you think, oh, you don't really care about the Browns, those people. Well, even as a Bengals fan, I hate the Steelers. So I hate the Steelers for my entire life. But let's not be out of our freaking minds. No coach would choose the Browns over the Steelers. No way on earth. And it's not close.
No. G?
Is Aaron Rodgers coming back?
I have no idea.
TBD.
Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if he's coming back. Look, I'm the wrong person to ask about this. I already told you how I feel about the Steelers.
Yeah.
I don't like them at all. If you was to ask me who do you want to coach, I'm gonna just be honest with you, bro. I'm like, listen, me personally, I'm never going to Pittsburgh. I won't even talk about the Steelers team, let alone talk about them like being a great. Now, if you ask me what I think other people around the league may think, of course, other people around the league, especially coaches that are unbiased, they don't pick the Steelers because they feel it's a better stability. They feel they have a better track record of success.
The owner doesn't meddle.
Owner is going to let you do your thing. So that for a lot of coaches, sure, would look at it and say, oh, this is a pretty good landing spot, especially if I want job security. It's one of the best jobs for job security. I mean, they don't meddle. You don't hear nothing. You just go out there and do their job. Now, I will say the quarterback situation is a little bit of a conundrum. And also,
but so is the Browns.
Right? Oh, but here's the thing. It's about time for them to get a bad coach. Like it's about
due, right?
They're due for a bad coach. Yeah. I mean, you done had 4 in how many years?
Three since '69.
It's due for you to have like, oh my gosh, what did we do here? We picked the wrong guy type thing. Because I mean, for the Bengals and the Browns, like we get that happening every 2 or 3 years. So I need them to have one of those in the upcoming cycle. Now, the most interesting question is Kevin Stefanski a potential pick for the Steelers, because if you look at it, I mean, he's not going to get the Browns job. He's probably not going to get the Giants job if Harbaugh wants that. So,
yeah, but he's met with like every team.
Would they
interview with the Dolphins this
Now,
morning.
I agree. The Steelers' job right now, you initially said, is not as good as some people think. Like right now, the job is not as good as you would normally think of the Steelers' job, but that's still way higher than the Browns.
Listen, Stefanski knows after being in this division and being in Cleveland for 6 years that you can win at those places. Like, if he got hired to go coach the Pittsburgh Steelers tomorrow, he's going to coach with a totally different mindset. It's not going to have the pressure on him. He knows he's got support. Like he knows he has time to build something because they don't fire their coaches. That's the biggest key for them is that whoever they hire, I don't care who the hell they hire. If they hired Mike McDaniel tomorrow, McDaniel will be there for 10 years. At least.
I mean, maybe that changes
unless
in the future.
Unless it's a complete collapse with the coach, and that would mean they'd have to have like 3 bad years in a row.
Yeah, it would take a lot.
Do you think Browns fans would spaz out if they hired Stefanski?
Guys, I think it's above 50-50 that Kevin Stefanski will be coaching this division next year. Again.
I would
Did you
rather
hear what
him.
Biscotti said?
I would rather
50-50.
Stefanski. If you're a Browns fan, I think you'll agree with me. I'd rather him be the coach of the Steelers than the Ravens, because the Ravens, he's got a quarterback.
I would.
Ravens, man, it's BTA.
So
man.
you could say whatever you want. Oh, Stefanski will ruin Lamar Jackson. Yeah, you could say that all you want. I don't want him to coach the Ravens.
Just to be a hater, I'd rather. I like you. Give me the stability stuff. Cool, you can say that, but you still ain't got no quarterback, and I want to see what's going on with. They still. I think that's the biggest problem with them. Is they caught in the middle. They caught in the middle of trying to figure out what do you do after Big Ben.
Yeah, they're competitive every year. They don't draft high enough to get the only time they went for drafting a quarterback high was Kenny Pickett, and obviously that didn't work out.
And so they have not flattened out enough to be able to draft a quarterback in the top 10 and take because I think Mike Tomlin was like, nah, we ain't about that life. We're not about to do that. Now listen, they get a new coach, they come in. Maybe it's the first year, and I've never in my lifetime seen the Steelers rebuild. But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe, you got T.J. Watt that's getting a little bit older.
Yeah, they're
Hayward is
team.
old. DK Metcalf ain't, a spring chicken in your quarterback
They're an old
situation.
team. I mean, listen, they're not in great shape long term, but still, they it's just such a good organization.
It is.
Could you make the case that that's a better job than Baltimore?
No.
I agree.
Absolutely.
No, you can't.
Baltimore's the best job, without a doubt.
Because a lot of what the organization was, listen, I love the Rooneys, but they don't do nothing. They just hang out. Mike Tomlin is a big part of what they are, identity-wise. Like, he keeps them together. And I want to see how you, for the first time.
Interesting, yeah.
For the first time, you got a new dude coming in there with a new voice. And by the way, that fan base is not easy to get along with, too. They've been used to guys in success early. Now, if this guy comes in there and whoever they hire and does not get off to a good start,
I don't think. My guess is Kevin Stefanski ends up with the Titans or the Dolphins. That's my prediction. One of those two.
Yeah, I think Titans and the Dolphins.
He's going to have a job, but I don't think it's going to be in the division.
I don't think Harbaugh is.
We'll see.
Who do you think ends up in Baltimore then?
I think Kevin.
He thinks Kevin.
I do. I think Kevin. Well, if they want him, I think that's the most appealing job. Obviously, the quarterback, we just talked about that. Also, he's from that area. It's the East Coast job. Like, he's a Philly guy.
He's from Philly.
That's what I just said.
Well, but
East Coast.
Baltimore's not the area.
East Coast?
Well, I mean, come on. Still not the area.
An hour and a half from Philadelphia.
Inappropriate to say.
What are you talking about?
Close, not the area.
Okay.
Nobody from Baltimore would say Philly is in the area.
I just said East Coast, and you don't think it's in the area?
No. No.
You're nuts. I lived in Philadelphia.
How many hours you drive?
It's not far. We just pull it up.
Yeah, let's see.
It's not far.
Philly from Baltimore is not far.
It's not in the area. Nobody from Philly would refer to Baltimore as in the area. It's not far.
I agree.
Anyway,
with that.
we're getting caught up in
It's 100 miles.
language.
It's an hour and 45-minute drive.
100 miles.
They're both part of the 13 original colonies. It was an area.
That's true.
There you go.
There you go. Now, here's the thing, though, too.
Closer than Columbus from us.
3 hours is crazy. Cincinnati might as well be, that's 6 hours.
But we wouldn't refer to Columbus as in the area.
I 100% would. What are you talking about?
I'll give you this. What happens if happens if Stefanski goes to Pittsburgh and Schwartz goes to Baltimore?
That's not going to happen.
I mean, didn't Schwartz get it? Who Schwartz?
He did interview, yes.
Yeah.
So I mean,
That'd be funny.
Here's the thing though. There's a lot of seats available.
Yeah.
And the more seats that open up is the better for guys who weren't thought of as high candidates. Jim Schwartz, I don't think if Pittsburgh doesn't come open, I don't think that he gets an interview.
I think Jim Schwartz is the head coach here or nowhere else, in my opinion. These other teams, they don't want some 60-year-old retread who didn't have success. They want a young, hotshot coach. That's what most of these teams want. If they're going to take an older coach, it's going to be somebody that's had success.
I don't think that some of the teams, Baltimore and Pittsburgh, I don't think can do young, hotshot coach.
I disagree. First, Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin all hired in their 30s. So why would they not hire another 30-year-old coach?
I don't know, because if the owner feels like they ready to win like today.
But they're not, and he knows that.
What,
He's
the
a good
Baltimore
owner.
Ravens?
No, you said the Steelers.
No, I'm just saying the Ravens definitely.
The Ravens, but that's different. The Ravens could hire a veteran.
And for the Steelers, I do believe that you have to have that guy. Mike Tomlin was very impressive when he came in terms of who he is in the league. Now, we laughed at this yesterday.
Yeah.
That young dude that's 30.
Udinski?
Hey, man,
Udinski?
a lot of cats like him, bro.
Who?
It's a lot
Udinski.
of.
I was texting Nick Wilson, Jonathan Field, and ripping them for talking about him.
A lot of coaches, like O'Connell, a lot of these dudes.
Of course they're going to say that. Nobody's saying he's not a good. He might be a great coach. How could you possibly be ready to be a head coach when you've had one legitimate year as an assistant?
You'd have to be like a unicorn.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about this guy. Like I'm going to agree with you that I think you have to have some life experience and have some experience like more than just what he's got to be the head coach. Certainly this team.
It's possible he could be a good head coach, but the odds of him being the best choice right now is minuscule.
I would say the same thing. But what if he's a genius? I don't know.
They called him a savant. I said, I don't know about how I feel about that.
They said Mike McDaniel was a savant.
Now,
they said there's been a lot of savants.
He's 30, but I think teams like the Titans, even teams like the Raiders, like what if the Raiders don't get who they want to get?
I think Tom Brady's running the show there. He ain't hiring some 30-year-olds. I don't see it.
Let me tell you this. I think this guy gonna get it. He's gonna get a job. Somebody gonna hire this dude.
I think you.
Somebody gonna hire this dude.
He'll for sure be a head coach in the next couple of years, but I'm not sure this cycle.
I think now it's a bunch of media members. A bunch of media members love him now that never heard of this guy a week ago.
No, I think we drank the McVay Kool-Aid. And there's going to be one owner.
McVay was at least a legitimate assistant coach for 3 years.
Hey, listen, I'm telling you, bro.
What?
More than 3.
Somebody
he was OC for 3 in Washington before he got the head gig in Los Angeles.
This guy was like a glorified water boy until last year.
Stop it. Don't. He was legitimate offensive assistant.
Okay, he was the assistant quarterback coach for 2 years, and then an OC who doesn't call plays for 1.
That is correct.
The job before that is not a real coaching job.
I'm telling you.
He's an offensive assistant.
Offensive assistant, Dustin. What do those guys do? Offensive assistant.
He's going to
have a lot to say.
He's going to get in one of these interviews, and he's going to get one of these old owners, and they're going to say, oh, this is the next Mark Zuckerberg. This is the next. He is
going to steal people's information?
Well, I mean,
By the way, I got
a start.
Speaking of which, I got to correct something I said. Yesterday I said Jesse Minter played in the NFL.
He did not.
Yeah, I was thinking
Mike Minter.
Mike Minter,
DB.
I was thinking it was the former player, but it's not.
Yeah.
Jesse Minter played Division III football, apparently.
I was going to fact check you on that, but I let it go.
You should have.
That's all right.
I want to be correct. If I make a mistake,
I know, but I thought that
maybe you were wrong.
I thought I could have been wrong.
Yeah, well, no, I was wrong. But
before we move on, real quick,
deal.
because we're going to pivot to the Cavs and we'll get back to the Browns afterwards.
Yeah.
As of 11:39 on January 14th, we're going to do this basically every day. If you had to guess who will be the next head coach of the Browns right now based on the information we have, Bull, the next head coach will be?
Now, don't just change it just to change it, Bull. You're thinking.
I mean, I don't really have a good answer. My first inclination was to say Jim Schwartz, but I
knew you wanted to say it. I seen it in your heart. He's like, I don't know if I want to say this, though.
The Browns always take outside of Hugh Jackson, who was terrible, the Browns always hire somebody that nobody was talking about. So who's somebody that nobody is talking about, but he's been connected to the Browns? I'll say they hired Todd Monken.
Dan Pitcher.
Or Dan Pitcher. There you go. Dan Pitcher. I'll say Dan Pitcher.
So you're taking the field versus Jim Schwartz.
Yes.
Okay.
You can't.
Dustin?
I don't know.
Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel would.
It checks the boxes of former head coach.
Yeah.
It checks the boxes of he's a really smart offensive mind. He has the background. He kind of is the young guy, the hot thing, but he fizzled out in Miami.
Right. And he's also not like that leader, fiery guy.
This is my time to respond.
All right, fair enough.
And
Thanks, Dustin.
You're welcome. And I think that it also checks the box that like he was here, and so if he did take the job, he understands what goes on in the building.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that he should be the guy or he will be the guy. You said gun to my head today on January 14th, Mike McDaniel.
All right. G, you going with Jim Schwartz?
Sorry to bust your balls.
No, I don't.
65. I'm going to go 65-35 Schwartz over the field. I just think some of these names, it's too many jobs opening. And with some of these jobs, it's going to give a lot of other candidates options to go do other things. And it's not going to put you against the 8 ball, so to speak, to say, I got to take this job immediately or I'm not going to get one. Guys are starting to get more interviews. So for me, I think Jim Schwartz does mark a few boxes. First of all, he's been there. First of all, he understands Jimmy has them. First of all, they have relationships. The guys on defense respect him. They still have to go get an offensive coordinator. But, for me, I just think right now, out of the names mentioned, I would say Jim Schwartz, that is realistically available for the Browns, especially now that Harbaugh's like, I'm not doing that. And then Tomlin's like, yeah, I'm sitting out a year. I think Schwartz is one of the dudes.
I think in the end, as negative as I am on the Browns right now, and as much as I don't trust Jimmy to get it right, I think whatever coach they hire, you got to give the guy a chance, because when we make opinions on coaches getting hired, outside of maybe Dustin or Tyvis having a relationship with the person that they happen to have, we don't know we don't know what he is behind the scenes, and we don't know. If he's never been a head coach before, he might be good, and we just might be like, well, I never heard of that guy, so just because I never heard of him doesn't mean he won't be a good coach.
Which is why I will not praise or criticize the hire until after this guy gets a couple of years. Unless they hire Tomlin or Harbaugh, if they get one of those guys, I'm going to be like, man, great job.
Well done.
Great job.
Yeah,
you did something right.
And even that might not work, because you never know.
It would take a lot of twisting of their arms to get them to come to Cleveland. So if they got one of those guys, I'd be like, yeah, this is going to be a home run. The other guys, I don't know. I'll be like, I don't know. You can hire, whatever.
Unlike the
what's the guy's name?
Udon?
Andy Dufresne?
Andy Dufresne?
Yeah.
The British guy.
Dirty.
Dirty.
Like Dustin said, I mean, this is not, when we talk about free agencies and quarterbacks, and I'm just as opinionated as anybody ever in the universe.
No.
But I'm just saying it's this guy. But when it comes to this coaching search, I'm like, oh, I mean,
I was at the car wash yesterday, and the guy recognized me, and he's like, hey, I'm waiting to go through.
Yeah.
Roll the window down. I'm like, okay,
here we go.
Like, did my card expire or something?
Yeah, I got the one where you go in and just scan it.
Yeah. That's why. So, and he's like, who are the Browns going to hire? I'm like,
I get that. It's that every day.
and I don't mind the question because I worked in the business, and I'm like, does it really matter?
I don't know.
They're having some fun, but it's
I don't know. I don't have no tea leaves. I could tell you some of the names. I'm like, okay, cool. I guess but I'm with you. Stefanski had 6 years. It took 6 years to figure out Stefanski wasn't the guy for the job. It took 6 years. So I'm not going to jump up and stand on the table and say great hire, or man, I'm not watching the Browns no more. I gotta let him. I gotta see what he's doing.
Gotta see.
And the most important thing that I want out of any coach is this: it might not be a great name, but give me somebody that wants the job. I want somebody that wants it. I want somebody that want to change the page and say, I feel like I'm the dude. There's a lot of people that didn't take this job or wouldn't interview for it, but this was the job I wanted because I saw something that I think can make something. And if it ain't a big name, who cares?
Yeah.
Make your name.
It probably won't be a big name. By the way, last thing, real quick. Everybody's making a thing, and I joked about it just now. This Grant Dirty, I think it's Grant, whatever his first name is.
The
from England.
Seattle guy.
Right.
Okay.
Just because he's from England, there
that
are going to be people who won't like it if they hired him because he's from England. They'll be like, "What would he know about football?"
Why?
Well, he's been coaching in the league. Just because you're from another country doesn't mean you don't know football.
Yeah,
that would be really stupid. But there will be some people that will react that way.
2025.
And
you might as well. He lives, as close as us to Detroit, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, you're on your phone watching every game, and he's talking to people.
And it's not like a David Black situation where he'd never coached in America.
Correct.
He's been coaching in America, so that would be stupid if people got bothered. And we have a reverse Ted Lasso situation, which I like. Actually, not really, because he had never coached soccer before.
I need to get back into that show. I watched the first season, and I watch the clips all the time.
Yeah.
But I think that show mixes the best blend of comedy and like really good
sweetness,
and like motivation.
Perfect show at the perfect time during COVID.
It really was
best.
All right, we'll get back to the Browns in a little bit. Joe Thomas is going to join us here in 14 minutes. Excited to have Joe on. Before we get to our next topic. Exactly 14 minutes. Okay. Before we get to that, quick reminder, like us on social media. Follow us if you don't already. There are the handles on the screen. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Follow us on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Oakley Sports. Appreciate the support. Help us make UCSS as big as it can possibly get. All right, we're going to talk a little Cavs for a sec. There was a report out there yesterday that Deandre Hunter had requested a trade, or at least his representation from Clutch requested a trade. That report has been shot down. Matt Moore, who put it out initially, debunked it, said he got bad information. Deandre Hunter did not request a trade. Chris Fedor later then put out that the Cavs, have actually received trade requests for Deandre Hunter, and they have rejected them, hoping to give Deandre more time to get back to being the player they thought they were acquiring last year when they traded George.
Or maybe they just were waiting for a better offer.
Or waiting for whatever you want to phrase it. But there was a report out there that Deandre asked for a trade, or his representation did. That report is false, debunked, not true. What is true is the Cavs have received offers for Deandre Hunter. The Cavs have said, we are not interested in trading him at the moment. Maybe they're waiting for a better offer. Maybe
I was going to rip him if those were true.
You texted me and you were ready to go off.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, we do love fake trades here on UCSS.
Mm-hmm.
In the content world, we love fake trades. So even though Deandre Hunter did not request a trade, I put together 4 potential trades if the Cavs do decide to trade Deandre Hunter. Here's how I want to do this. I want to show you all 4 deals, and let me give a quick explanation on each 4, and then we can go back and you guys can ask about each one, why it makes sense.
I would do all of them, by the way, without even seeing them.
So these are a couple of hypothetical trades.
Yeah.
The first one involves the Milwaukee Bucks, who may be the most desperate team in all of basketball because they have a Giannis Antetokounmpo problem on their hands. They need a small forward badly. So could you turn DeAndre Hunter into Bobby Portis Jr. and Taurean Prince, or Andre Jackson Jr.? Pick your choice. You have either one, but Bobby Portis Jr. would be the primary return. 6'9", efficient three-point shooter, could play alongside Mobley or Allen and Bull. He's got a bit of an attitude issue. He punched a teammate in practice once.
I like it.
Broke his nose.
I'm in.
Cavs kind of need someone like that. The money works. Steve, if you want to take B, I put the SPO track up there so you guys can see. The money on all these work. They all work with the second apron. All these hypothetical trades do work. That's trade 1.
I'm in. You guys in? Oh, we're waiting till the end?
We'll go back. Yeah.
Right.
Next deal.
I'm
This
pretty much
next
like you.
deal
I'll take whatever.
does not make the Cavs better. Make this very clear. This deal does not make the Cavs better. You know what it does, though, Bull? It gets them out of the second apron. You got to inquire a third team, so we're bringing Lonzo Ball and the Utah Jazz into the equation. So the Cavs would send DeAndre Hunter to the Bulls and Lonzo Ball to the Jazz. The Bulls would send Javon Carter and 2 second-round picks to Utah to help facilitate the money, and the Cavs would get Jalen Smith, who's been he's an okay big, third big. But this is essentially to get under the second apron. As you can see when Steve takes the next one, the money works. Utah would have to waive a player. You can make this add an extra no-name player, too, for Utah to get back and forth. But essentially, this is a avenue for the Cavs to get under the second apron, but they do not get better.
Gotcha.
Jalen Smith he's not an upgrade. He's not playing over anybody necessarily. This is simply to get out of the second apron.
Got it.
Deal 3, Steve, when you're ready, involves the Sacramento Kings. Sacramento's the stupidest team in basketball. When you're looking to make a trade, you call up Vivek in
Dennis
Sacramento.
Schroeder's still in the NBA. I didn't even realize that.
Yes. Oh, it's Vivek is the owner. You call him up and say, let's make a deal. I don't think this deal makes sense for either team, but I had to include a Kings deal in here because they're the team that you could always make some kind of crazy deal with. The Cavs don't really need Dennis Schroeder, but another guy who tried to fight Luka Doncic in the hallway last week.
I like.
Literally tried to fight him. So I just looking for a guy who I know could fight. He doesn't really fit. This is simply another attitude adjustment for the Cavs. I don't like this deal. I would not do this one, but this does work. Steve, you want to show him the money? It works. That's simply an attitude adjustment. And the last one, and maybe the most realistic, if this was going to happen, is a deal with the Brooklyn Nets, who have a little flexibility financially. Steve, you want to show this one? It's basically DeAndre Hunter for Day'Ron Sharpe and Hayward Highsmith. Highsmith's not going to play necessarily, but he fits the 3-and-D mold, can play a little defense. He was a Miami Heat guy. Day'Ron Sharpe, a younger big, really good rebounding big.
I would just make this trade so I can now have 2 players with an apostrophe in their name.
There you go. You'd have Day'Ron Sharpe. Yep. So those are the 4 deals. I just got a text. I hope Nick Wilson doesn't mind if I shout him out. But Nick Wilson just texted me and said Bobby Portis would punch Evan Mobley out 1 month into being here.
Good.
So that's
what
the
he
attitude
needs.
adjustment.
Nicky Dubs.
I didn't know Nick was texting you.
Me and Nick are boys.
He's ripping you all the time when he texts me. Nah,
well,
But what do
after
you think
this
the
show,
deal is,
I go
Walt?
over to the station
What'd you do
every
those
Wednesday,
days?
and I always see Nick, and he'll like reference something we talked about. So
I know.
he watches quite a
Jonathan
bit.
and Nick watch, and
They
I
do.
listen to them, and then I yell at them for things they say, and
Hey, tell them to come on the show.
they can't.
What do you think of those deals? Phil? Would you do all 4?
He was like,
I would do all 4, yes. Even though I don't, I honestly, most of the players they're getting in those trades, I have no clue who they are outside of Bobby Portis. Would you make all those trades or no?
We are McNuggets. We are completely screwed.
Mikey, do you co-sign you think those all would be sort of?
I would do the Bucks one. That's my favorite by far. Bobby Portis Jr. is a guy I've wanted the Cavs to try and acquire for a while. Milwaukee seems to love him. Giannis is a big fan of his, so I'm not sure if you can make that. But they are so desperate.
Even the
for
one
help
with
on
the
wing.
apron, would that one help us? Would you do that?
Yeah, that's
If
the
you
3-team
decide-
trade.
The 3-team
Okay.
trade.
In reality,
Yeah.
if you decide this team can't win a championship, it makes sense to get out of the second apron.
Yeah.
It is, in my opinion,
not
their
gonna do that,
easiest
though.
way to get out of the second apron.
No,
I
they
don't
won't
think
do
Kobe and the Cavs front office believe they can't win a championship. I don't think they would do that. I would seriously consider it. But I would do the Bobby Portis one in a heartbeat. If that was actually on the
Yeah.
table, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Do you
I
think Kobe Altman should be fired right now?
No.
Like mid-season?
He'll eventually go when they lose in the playoffs this year. He'll be gone.
Why would you not fire him now?
He put together a roster that I believe
you
is
gotta let him
talented
see
enough
through
to win a
this season, don't you
championship.
think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it deserves a chance to see this through. And if it doesn't work and they decide to blow the whole thing up, then I don't think Kobe should stick around to see
If they
the
don't
next
get past
iteration.
the first round of the playoffs, are you firing him at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm blowing the whole team up and probably firing everybody.
Like if they don't get past the second round, it's a wrap. It's Dustin.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Even though they're not playing like a team that could go deep, they need to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, or I'd fire
Yes.
them.
Yeah, that's guaranteed,
Yeah,
especially in
you're right.
Well, I mean, Adam, think about this. Last year at this exact same time, when they
Yeah.
were playing well,
Yeah.
you were just sitting there saying, "Well, it doesn't matter. Show me in the playoffs." So
Yeah.
why not
Yeah, we
have,
gotta
why
see
not
the
have
playoffs.
the same
Fair.
mentality this year?
I'm just my concern with Kobe is he sees it a certain way that other people don't. I think he's wrong, and I think he's deluding himself into thinking this team can win when it matters. And
Maybe they can't, Adam.
Yeah.
But also, there were times on this show where we've sat here and
Yeah.
you praised this guy.
yeah, I did.
So
And I thought he deserved
so
it,
He,
but-
so what's the harm in
All
the
right,
guy
well,
you once praised to give him another 4 months?
My concern is that if you brought in another GM, that GM would be more likely to make a trade to get you on, because he doesn't care about getting under that. He needs them to win.
Yeah, like
He
that's
knows his job might be
Who
on
are you gonna hire today on January 14th to come
Yeah,
in here
no, I hear you.
and,
You're right.
and,
That's fair.
and take a team that's been on
That's
the
fair.
cusp of a title for 3 years and say, you know what? Someone who doesn't know anything about our locker room or about our culture is going to come in here and fix this? I don't buy that.
fair
Let's put it like this, man. We talk about these. Look, we talk about coaches. We talk about players, man. These guys got to in the NBA more than anything. If you got one or two guys, those guys are going to lead from the front. It's the NBA. That's why they fire coaches so quickly, because they understand that it's all about the players. It's a players' league. They made it like that.
Well, a lot of fans were blaming Kenny Atkinson yesterday, which is insane.
No, listen, you can't.
I explained him yesterday.
Hey, I'm going to tell you this. They got guys that if the Cavs want to win, we've all known that Darius Garland and Evan Mobley for 3 years have to do something.
Yeah.
And we've slowly but surely moved the goalposts. Like, oh, well, Mobley will take a step. Or Darius Garland was injured this year. Then he had the foot injury this year. And then maybe we just all get healthy. No. I'm talking about skills. I'm talking about what are you doing? 14 and 17 points is role guy numbers. You can't pay max deals. to roll guy numbers.
Yeah.
You can't. Like look, come on, man. Like we've seen championship basketball here. And when you see championship basketball and you see what guys are, think about this. We talk about Mobley, right? Mobley, I don't think offensively is nowhere near Kevin Love. And Kevin Love in his prime was a 3, the third option. Is Evan like from the you go back and watch the 2016 squad. Evan Mobley, you look at his offensive game.
Yeah.
And go back and look at Kevin Love's offensive game. Kevin Love's offensive game is markedly better than Evan Mobley's. Yeah. And that was our third option.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you combine the two teams, your best player is LeBron, your second best player is Kyrie, your third best player is Donovan, and then your fourth best player is Kevin Love. Now, in that vein, maybe you're including defense, so maybe you put Mobley ahead of Love. I don't know, but
I mean, Kevin.
They're right on the same plane.
Yeah.
It comes down to preference and what you
But
want.
as an offensive player, Kevin Love definitely better than
Yes.
Evan Mobley.
I mean, because you couldn't leave him alone. I mean, he's a knockdown shooter.
Yeah.
And the thing about that old Cavs squad is they had snipers from everywhere. They just wouldn't miss some days.
And Kevin Love was a great rebounder too.
He's a great rebounder.
Yeah.
So my thing is, it's just tough because when you watch it, and Mike, you play basketball, and you've seen it. You can watch basketball and tell if somebody is close or if they got a legitimate shot. Mm-hmm. And when I be watching the Cavs, I just can't even lie to myself. They can't compete with the way they play at this point.
By the way, in the summer of 2027, we are going to be playing 3-on-3 basketball outside.
Yeah, because you're going to be down 100 pounds.
As a UCSS squad, absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to play.
First
time in 16 years.
The way they're playing right now, you are 100% correct. They are not playing like a championship team right now. They have not put together games in back-to-back fashion where they look like a team that can win a championship. With that being said, and I don't want to give them credit that they do not deserve yet because, as we found out on Monday, can't get our skis ahead of ourselves despite what they did on Saturday. The East is still wide open. Oh, yeah. And there's not a team, and including New York, that has a lock on the Eastern Conference. And if we get 2 weeks down the stretch in March when Strus comes back and Darius hopefully continues to get healthier and Evan regains a little bit of confidence in his jump shot, both from the three-point line and especially from the free throw line,
anything's possible.
There's a chance we head into the playoffs feeling pretty good about the Cavs' chances regardless of their seeding.
The only thing
the East is
I'm
so
not going to feel
open.
good about their chances at all, no matter how they play at the end of the year.
Just to get through the East.
The only thing I don't understand and I'm confused about is why is it that after last season we sat there and we heard them talk about how much of a gut punch that was, how they didn't expect that the Pacers played harder, they were faster, they were more in condition. Donovan talked about saying, "Hey, listen, we know you guys are gonna." You take a crap all over us. We know what you're going to say, that you guys need to make it to next year and the regular season don't count. I get all that. We're going to have to just take that and be ready for it. My question is, how do you come off of that and then get to this season? And one of the main things we're talking about is your intensity and your effort. Like, I don't get, like.
It's a long season, G. And once again, I'm not making excuses and trying to defend them here. I'm just giving you the broad picture look. It's a long season, and they heard us all last year.
Right.
Say they're 64 and 16 in the next season. Who gives a
right? But that's the thing, Mike. So if they're playing well down the stretch, I don't care. Once they get to the playoffs, okay, that's when they can do it.
And that's fair. And that's why I'm not jumping on some of the, in my opinion, over-the-top criticism of them at this point of the season because I can't say last year is irrelevant in the regular season when they won 64 games. And then it didn't matter to the playoffs, and then be like, oh, now they suck in the regular season. Now all of a sudden it's important. What they do in the playoffs, like, they may end up with the 7th seed. Let's just pretend for the sake of this discussion. They end up in the play-in, they win a play-in, and right now the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference is I believe the Knicks, right? Yeah, the Knicks are the 2 seed, a game ahead of the Celtics. I'm telling you, it wouldn't be out of this world crazy. Like, I wouldn't be that surprised if they were somehow would beat one of those 2 teams.
All right, but here's the thing.
And go on a run.
But you wouldn't pick them to beat the Knicks. I mean, you could,
It depends how they're playing down the stretch.
But
my
really,
point is,
you're going to determine that based on how they're playing down the stretch?
What
does that mean ever?
They start playing better down the last 2 weeks.
But
I feel better about their chances of going on a run.
here's an interesting thing I guess we could look at that could be fun about the Cavs this postseason potentially. We have never, since at least the 90s, and obviously I wasn't here, so I don't know what it was like then, but in the last almost 30 years, we have never started a playoff season with the Cavs where you were pleasantly surprised by how things turned out, right?
That's a good point.
When the Cavs had LeBron, every time they were in the playoffs, you thought they had a chance to win it. And when he came back the second time, every year, anything but a championship was a disappointment.
I disagree. 2018, when they traded everybody in the middle of the season.
Still had LeBron.
But they had Larry Nance, they had Rodney Hood, they had Jordan Clarkson, they had
Kyle Korver.
So you were happy at the end of the season
because they went into Boston Garden in Game 7 and beat the Celtics.
I hear you, but we all expected them to win.
No, we did not.
Yes, we did.
I didn't expect it.
Most people did.
They had LeBron, G. It's the best player in the world.
No. Hold on. You had a puncher's chance if you got LeBron, but you are not saying when they
Cavs were favored though.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, let's go back.
They were like 7-point favorites in the game.
I don't remember that. No, I feel like when you go back, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Was 2018?
It was 2018, Game 7.
The Cavs were LeBron's only been an underdog, I think, against
They
the Warriors.
almost lost the first round to the Pacers in a Game 7.
I hear you. And yes, there were moments in that postseason that were exciting, but it felt like a disappointment when they lost the championship. And I get what you're saying. If they lost the championship this year, it would be a
The
disappointment.
Celtics were 2-point favorites.
Oh.
I guess I was wrong.
In Game 7?
In Game 7,
It was
the
in
Celtics were
Boston,
2-point
right?
It was
in Boston.
87-79.
Right, but I believe the Cavs were favored to win the series.
Oh, yeah, they were.
If the Celtics were only a 2-point favorite in Game 7.
Then they went on to play the Golden State Warriors, which was the greatest team assembled of all time.
Yeah.
And then you definitely knew the Cavs wouldn't win because they had
Right,
Durant.
they didn't.
So I get what you're saying. I get your point.
Like,
it's arguing.
You still expected that team to at least go to the Eastern Conference. Like, we have no expectations for this team right now. None.
No.
So if they have some sort of run, we've never experienced a surprise run. The last few years, they've gone not as far as we thought.
Well, hold on. The first year, the year LeBron played when he scored 25 in a row against the Pistons.
In his first finals run.
That was a surprise.
Okay.
So you're saying the last 20 years they haven't had a surprise.
All right,
right. There we go.
This playoff run, we'll go into it knowing it's win
No
or
expectations.
eject. And
Yeah.
eject on every part of the
Right.
organization. We got a Hall of Famer waiting in the queue. We're going to bring on Joe Thomas here in a second after a quick word from FanDuel. Guys, the NFL playoffs are here. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Right now, every NFL playoff game, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Every play feels bigger. The boost makes your bets feel that way too. You make your picks just like normal, then apply the profit boost to go after even bigger payouts. While the playoffs get rolling, just visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. And with that, we are now thrilled to welcome on, as I've told you guys before, my personal best friend, who looks even better than usual today with a beard. Joe, come on. You didn't tell me we were going the beards out in 2026.
Quality gray. I like the
I feel
salt
like
and
I let
pepper
you
look
down
there.
by shaving on Monday.
Yeah, wifey gave me permission to finally just let the beard grow out and be Santa Claus next year. So we're going full Santa Claus. You got to keep the face warm these cold Wisconsin winters. And I'm kind of liking it. Yeah, it's getting a little bushy, but I'm enjoying it right now.
This is messed up, Joe.
Yeah.
I've been growing my facial hair for 6 months, and this is all I got.
He can't even get a full beard.
This is
it's
nasty.
not good.
This is nasty work right now. I need the chia pet.
Yeah.
I used to have one of them when I chia. I put the
We've been working on this baby for about a month, so that gives you an idea.
That's a
I'm
month,
not
bro.
He's hairy. He's a
I'm
hairy
not
baby.
lying to you guys.
Yeah.
I started in the beginning of December, maybe second week of December on my birthday. So hair grows a little faster on these Germans over here.
Just not so much up top.
Yeah, nothing up top. That's why it's putting all its energy right here. Ooh, the force is going all through the face.
You look a little now like a skinny Andrew Whitworth. That's what, He's got that beard going on. Hey, Joe, I think this is the toughest question you've ever been asked, I'm going to say. If you had to, you're still playing, you're in the middle of your career right now, and you had to choose, you have to play for either the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Baltimore Ravens.
That's a setup question.
Who do you
Joe.
play for? If you had to choose.
Leave it
it's
to
the worst question, toughest question ever.
Setup.
Right now, like the current teams that they have.
Oh, okay, yeah, fine. I'll give you that. Then you pick the Ravens, right?
So I play for Baltimore because they've got a better quarterback.
Yeah.
I think Pittsburgh is going to be in a lot of trouble right now because I think it's pretty clear that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be there. He's probably going to retire. And they've got an overpriced old defense. They don't really have a lot of weapons that are going to be coming back that are kind of in their prime that they can build around a young quarterback. So I think they're in a world of hurt. And I think that's a big reason why Mike Tomlin decided to step down.
Yeah. The guys were saying, Dustin said, because we were talking about, with the Browns, could Mike Tomlin or Harbaugh ever coach the Browns? And he made the point, it's like, that would be like Jim Tressel coaching Michigan. It just is that. Do the coaches and players feel that way? I mean, I know. Listen, Joe Hayden was Mr. Cleveland just like you, and he went to the Steelers. I know he was cut.
It's different. I think as a player, in he was there 19 years.
Yeah, that's true.
And he won the division 8 times in Super Bowl. I mean, guys, they've had 4 coaches in 60, 70 years.
Yeah.
So
is it different?
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, I think it is different, right? Yeah. As a coach, you don't really get drafted. You don't go through free agency. You don't really ever get just taken and traded to another team. I mean, there's exceptions to that rule, of course, but for the most part, you're kind of known for being the coach of that team because you decide, you get hired, you're there until they get rid of you. And when you've had great success, and they'll probably have a Mike Tomlin statue outside the stadium, I would assume at some day. 18 years, no losing seasons. You win a Super Bowl, had great success. I would think that they want to remember this guy as a Pittsburgh Steelers coach forever. And certainly part of his legacy is being this amazing coach. And with the Pittsburgh Steelers, if he goes somewhere else, it's going to feel like you tarnish that legacy a little bit. And I think it is different from being a player when, Joe Hayden, we cut him in Cleveland. So what was he supposed to do? He wants to play, he wants to work. And so I think for players, it's a little bit different than it is for coaches.
Joe, when you look at this coaching search, I'm torn a little bit because I've been talking about it's just all about where you are in your career. When you're Harbaugh and you're Tomlin and you put that much work in other places, you don't necessarily want to go to a place where you're starting over again. I make the example, hey, listen, if I'm no longer with my beautiful wife, I'm not going on no dating app dating no 25 years. I can't do that, bro. I have no time and energy for none of that. And I think Harbaugh may be in a position where he's not going to do that. My question to you is, do you believe that the Browns head coach, the next one, has to have head coaching experience? Or are you okay with a first-time McVay upstart, 30-something hotshot coordinator?
I think I'd be okay with either approach, but I think it's really important that the Browns get it right this time. And it's easy to say, it's always important for them to get it right, but they've got a really good defense, right? But it's hard to keep great defenses together. They've got some nice weapons on offense, but you need a guy that comes in that's going to be able to set a culture, because I think if you can find a quarterback, or if maybe you believe that Shedeur Sanders is your quarterback, you've got a chance to flip this relatively quickly, but it starts with building that culture. And I think if he is a young hotshot, it's never been a head coach before. I mean, we've seen it where guys come in and are great leaders and great culture and building foundation builders like Dan Campbell, right? He was a first-time head coach. A lot of guys were scratching their heads when he got hired, especially when he talked about biting off kneecaps and everything, but he has built a tremendous culture, and I think that's what Cleveland needs to look for, almost probably more than they have in the past when they're maybe looking for, the offensive wizardry or bringing in, a defensive-minded guy to get the defense right. I think the pieces are potentially close to being there, where if you get a guy that comes in and sets that foundation and that culture and that direction, I think that is probably the one key characteristic that the Browns should be looking for in this hiring cycle above the other hirings that they've had to do in recent memory.
Joe, you were here in 2014 when Mike McDaniel was in Cleveland. He gets let go from Miami. Obviously, he's going to be in play. I don't know if he wants to come to Cleveland or if the Browns want him back in Cleveland, but you were with him for a little bit of time. Do you like that move? Would that interest you at all?
I really liked Mike McDaniel. I thought he did a great job early on, especially when he was in Miami. I think he's maybe a little bit of an acquired taste, right?
Yeah.
He's got a very different, unique offense. It really obviously highlights the speed and the space that his talent on offense was able to create. I don't know if we have that talent and that speed to be able to do that here.
Right.
We have question marks at quarterback. And I'm not sure he is the culture builder that like maybe a Dan Campbell or a John Harbaugh is or a Mike Tomlin. And I would lean more towards having that culture builder type coach versus a guy who's more of the X's and O's person, which McDaniels is. And I think you pair McDaniels with a talented offense, it's going to be, Star Wars offense, and they're going to be really good. And you're going to see what he did down in Miami early on. But I see this team and the makeup that we have and the opportunity to be really good pretty soon a little bit differently than kind of where somebody like a Mike McDaniel could come in and really unlock the power that this franchise has the potential to unlock.
Joe, it does seem like I'm with you. I think they need a culture building coach. I was suggesting Brian Flores, and doesn't seem like he's getting a lot of buzz as head coach candidates. I know Brian Hoyer loves him and spoke highly of him, but it seems like most of the guys they're interviewing to this point are more of the Mike McDaniel, Kevin Stefanski ilk, more X's and O's, maybe number-based guys instead of culture builders. Does that concern you?
It doesn't concern me because some of those guys we just don't know a whole lot about because they haven't been head coaches before. Obviously, Mike McDaniels has been. But, some of these other younger guys, because maybe they haven't been within our conference or within our division, or you just don't know them because as a coordinator, they don't have the visibility that a head coach does. So I don't think people knew Dan Campbell outside of maybe people that played with him or worked with him. And, he came in spitting fire and brimstone. And people were like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? And you don't really know, other than maybe our experience as fans watching on TV or hearing in the media, whereas people that are on the inside that are doing the hirings, that know these people, that have connections to these other coaches, they know the personality and their ability to build that culture and to have that leadership. In addition to maybe being an offensive wizard, I give the example of Kyle Shanahan. He's a great culture builder. He's a different style than a John Harbaugh, Tomlin, Dan Campbell. But when he came in as an offensive coordinator in Cleveland, people just kind of thought of him as, well, he's had some good offenses and, he runs his dad's offense, but he's not a leader. He's a young guy. He's kind of got that California swagger to him. But he was a heck of a culture builder. And being a culture builder doesn't mean that you don't have necessarily offensive skill sets from an X's and O's standpoint. Like Kyle's the smartest offensive mind I've ever been around, but he's also not a yeller and a screamer. And so sometimes as fans, we just always equate a guy that's screaming and, blowing a gasket on the sideline with being the culture builder, because that's how we can see and understand, what the standards are and holding people accountable and things like that. But Kyle did it in different ways that fit his personality, that actually got probably the most out of professionals that I've ever been around, because he helped you understand, look, I'm giving you a game plan that's going to be a leg up on your opponent. And all you have to do is do exactly what I tell you to do. And we're going to win this game. And you're going to be fabulously wealthy because everybody in the NFL is going to want to sign you because I'm putting you in the best position to succeed. So you better take the reins now and you better run with it because you have this amazing opportunity. And he kind of built you up like that. And he built the standards of what he expects out of everybody in a little bit of a different way because of his emotional intelligence. And so I think it is hard to say from the outside, not knowing a lot of these guys, even Tommy Rees being in-house, we don't really know what he could be from like a culture building standpoint because you just don't know the coordinators. They're just not visible like a head coach is.
Great point. Joe, getting back to Mike McDaniel for a minute, it's been suggested that, and we don't know if Shedeur Sanders is going to be the quarterback next year or whatever, but that Mike McDaniel in particular is not really a great fit for Shedeur Sanders because Mike McDaniel's offense is based on timing and playing in rhythm and not like, Shedeur sometimes is at his best when he's not playing with timing and he's just kind of doing his own thing. Do you buy that or no?
Yeah, it's hard for me to say yes or no because one, I don't think that you want to hire a head coach based on his fit with Shedeur Sanders because I don't think Shedeur has done enough yet to say he's definitely our franchise quarterback.
Agreed.
I mean, our staff right now is starting to evaluate the quarterbacks that are coming out in this draft, and we don't even know if they're going to evaluate one of those guys and really like him that they'll be able to have a chance to select. And then if they pick a guy in the first round, you know, as much as we've enjoyed the Shedeur Sanders experience here in Cleveland, like that is them saying, hey, we got another guy. We don't need Shedeur as our starting franchise quarterback. If they don't draft a quarterback in the first round and they say, yes, we want to give Shedeur another year, that just means that he's guaranteed kind of to get that opportunity to grow in this year. So I think trying to tie those two together is a bad decision. It's different than if you have a franchise quarterback that you're sure about that you're going to build around. Then you want to maybe pick a head coach based on that. Kind of like when I think about the Green Bay Packers when they hired Matt LaFleur, it was like they had Aaron Rodgers. They wanted to have somebody who could build an offense that would fit him because you know Aaron is going to be there. The other part of it, I think, when you look at the head coaching position and Shedeur, I would say that with Shedeur, I think he's got a lot of opportunity to grow into anything that the next head coach wants because he only started about half the season and he really didn't get any practice time giving an opportunity to break any of the bad habits and start playing in rhythm before he became the starter, which it's really hard to learn on the job, especially at quarterback in the middle of the season, because you're not getting just endless reps and practice and film review because you're so focused on getting ready with game plan for that game that weekend. So I think that Shedeur still has an opportunity to prove that he can play within the structure of an offense and he can throw with timing and get rid of some of those bad habits, like always putting the ball in his left hand when he's trying to run. And, you know, he quickly got out of that bad habit of just drifting back and running and trying to escape through the back of the pocket all the time. And so I think if you do get a head coach, one, don't pick it because it fits Shedeur Sanders. Pick him because you think he's a great head coach and you think he's a great culture builder and a great leader. But if you do decide after you go through the draft process that you want to give Shedeur an opportunity to be the starting quarterback for this team next year and beyond, he's got an opportunity to grow into whatever that vision can be with that new offensive coordinator and head coach.
Yeah, I like what you said. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is by any means a finished product, and I think that works in his advantage sometimes. And I think that could be seen as a positive because, you know, he has an opportunity to grow and to get better and to like see himself in another opportunity to kind of, you know, acclimate himself in 2026 and get better over the offseason. So I agree with that. Joe, I'm going to ask you about Jim Schwartz. Jim has been on the roster, been on the staff, you know, for a while now. He did get an interview with the Ravens. What are your thoughts on Jim Schwartz, and would it be a positive or kind of a negative that, you know, he hasn't been in a coaching search for a long time? And do you think because he does have those existing relationships with the defense and the ownership that he is going to get a serious consideration for the job?
He should definitely get serious consideration. Jim Schwartz, I think, would be an excellent head coach. I think he would be an excellent culture builder. He's an excellent leader. He's got rapport within that building. And the great thing for the Browns is they know how he leads. They know how he coaches because he's been around. And so they have a really good sense of what he can be as a head coach, as that leader of men, as that coach of the coaches, which is what the head coaching role is. So I think he could be potentially a great candidate. But then you do pick a defensive-minded guy whose specialty is on defense. Finding that offensive staff, that offensive coordinator, whether it's Tommy Rees or somebody else, is going to be crucial, right? Because when you bring in a defensive-minded head coach or a special teams coordinator who's more of a culture builder, like what the Ravens did with John Harbaugh, if you have a veteran quarterback and you've got an offense that kind of runs well around them, like it's much easier to just be the delegator, be the leader, be the culture builder, be the vision guy, be the voice of the franchise. But when you have a situation like the Browns are in where you have either a young quarterback with Shedeur or you're going to probably be drafting a guy, like you guys are molding each other together in that position. And the head coach really has to be in that room molding that young quarterback because it's the most important position, most important employee in the entire franchise. And so I think you would have to really, really feel great about that offensive coordinator who's going to be there because Jim doesn't have that depth of knowledge of offense to be side-by-side best friends with whoever that quarterback is going to be for the Browns to help him grow and mature as an NFL starting quarterback.
Joe, we have run 1,000 polls in the history of UCSS in the chat, and maybe less than 5 have had a almost 50-50 split. But we ran one this morning that had a damn near 50-50 split. We asked the chat, if both Tomlin and Harbaugh were willing to come to Cleveland and you had to choose between the two, which head coach would you prefer to be the next head coach of the Browns? I know you didn't play for either, but you did play against both, so I'm curious from your perspective. Neither we don't think is coming to Cleveland, but if you had to choose Harbaugh or Tomlin, who do you think would be a better fit in Cleveland?
I'd like Tomlin for 2 reasons. One, I think he's probably done more with less throughout his career than John Harbaugh has done. And then 2, I think that he is an incredible motivator, and I would certainly love to hear his amazing quotes and his one-liners that he's always throwing out there in his press conferences. He would make every media day entertaining and exciting and interesting because he is just so funny. He's so direct. He is such a great communicator. And I think for a franchise at the position that the Browns are in right now, searching for that breakthrough coach that everybody in the organization and the city can rally around, I think Mike Tomlin is that type of guy. Now, I think it's more likely, to be totally honest, I think that Mike Tomlin goes into media because he's going to realize that there's a lot of networks that are going to pay a heck of a lot of money to have him work 1 day a week and not have any stress and just bring his personality and his one-liners and his sense of humor to the media role. Agreed. And it's a heck of a lot less stressful than it is being a head coach and trying to build another franchise and start over again somewhere else.
Joe, last football question. Jerry, because we're going to talk about this a little bit. I'm curious your take. Jerry Jeudy, the Browns traded him for him 2 years ago. Obviously, in 2024, he had a tremendous season. That wasn't a good season for the team, but he had a tremendous season, put up huge numbers, which he had not done in Denver. This past season, a disaster. Probably worse than any of his seasons in Denver. Tons of drops, arguments on the sidelines. Who's the real Jerry Jeudy? What should we expect in 2026 from him?
Well, I think Jerry's a little bit of a front runner, and you get that with a lot of receivers. He's got a lot of talent. He's shown that he can be super productive if he understands the offense, if he feels good about it, if he feels good about his relationship with his quarterback, if he's getting the ball. Like, he's a bit of like a hot and cold shooter is in basketball, right? When things are going well and he's making his shots, he can carry that hot streak throughout the entire season. He's not the type of player, I think, that can just take over the game no matter who the quarterback is or no matter what the offense is. And I think they knew that when they brought him here. And I think that's okay, right? Like, you've got to have other receivers that can make plays, that can be big-time players in big moments. And it doesn't always have to be that, like, Calvin Johnson type guy that just doesn't matter who's out there. He's going to get the ball and he's going to get his numbers and he's going to make his yards and have his production. So I just think that if you get the offense right and you get a quarterback that can get him the football, he has the opportunity to get hot and to be the Jerry Jeudy we saw previously that was a Pro Bowl caliber receiver. But, he is a guy that when drops happen or maybe he's not feeling confident, like, he loses the belief in himself to be able to make those plays. And that's why you start seeing those drops, and then one drop leads to another. And, I think some of that will go away as he matures a little bit and gets a little bit older in this league. But I think it's really important to understand that, hey, we got to get the quarterback right. We got to get the offensive coordinator right. And then that unlocks Jerry Jeudy's potential to be the best version of himself, which is a Pro Bowl caliber receiver.
A lot of really good games this weekend, man. A lot of really good games this weekend. Yeah. Are the Bills going to be able to go to Denver and get it done?
I believe so. I got my Bills winning the Super Bowl as a Browns guy. There's a little kindred spirits between the Buffalo fans and the Browns fans, being Rust Belt cities, being these amazing, passionate fan bases that have never won a Super Bowl but have always shown up for their team. And I love watching Josh Allen, and I love watching playoff Josh Allen because he just puts that team on his back. He goes hero mode, plays hero ball, but it's necessary because he doesn't have the team around him that he has in the past. But I think he sees that he doesn't have to go through Patrick Mahomes, and he's got some other young, inexperienced playoff quarterbacks in that AFC. And I think he realizes that whatever it takes this year, he's going to do it, whether that means he's got to rush for 100 yards in every game or throw for 400, because I think he believes that this is his opportunity to win his Super Bowl, because the path has been cleared without Patty Mahomes. And I believe the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Joe Tom is not only an expert, of course, as we all know, on football, on cheese, but also meat, red meat in particular. Joe, the best way to cook a hamburger and for temperature, do you just know, or do you have to use a thermometer to get it the right temperature you want?
It's a disrespectful question to someone who runs a company called Hall of Fame Beef Bowl. Come on. Joe,
Why is that a disrespectful question?
Of course he doesn't need a thermometer.
He's giving me the opportunity to spout my professional Hall of Fame level knowledge of cooking beef. So I appreciate the platform here.
Thank you.
If I'm going low and slow on the smoker, I like to use a meat thermometer, obviously, to know like that internal temperature, know when your brisket's going to the stall and how to get through that and stuff like that. When I'm cooking hamburgers, steaks, things like that, you just know, right? You kind of know what you're trying to get done as far as the temperature goes. And I really cook everything to medium rare. That's my little tip, right? If you're doing steaks, everything goes medium rare. And then if you have people like my wife and my children who tend to like it more medium or medium well, which by the way,
Joe, don't say that, Joe.
By the way, we have solved them of their sins. Their sins have been absolved, and now they like medium rare because they've been eating Hall of Fame Wagyu.
Well done.
And the intramuscular fat and the buttery mouthfeel that provides when you bite into that steak is so amazing that they've finally understood why everybody wants their steaks medium rare typically. And it always a texture thing. I didn't understand that. Kids are such texture people, right? You give them like a chicken nugget, they love it because it's got that crunch, but it's also not tough at all. You give them something with another texture that's an amazing flavor, and they hate it. They spit it out. It never made sense to me, but this was like my aha moment. I'm like, they don't like medium rare steaks that they're normally used to because it's a little too chewy for them, right? And they have to get to that medium well, almost a hamburger, right? To be able to get something that's not chewy. And so they thought it was because of the color on the inside, but it wasn't the pink, the warm, rosy red center of a medium rare steak that they didn't like. It was just, that's what they were seeing that reflected in their brain, that they don't like medium rare. But with the Hall of Fame Wagyu, because it's still tender at medium rare, it still melts in your mouth. It still falls apart when you bite into that delicious New York strip. They've been converted, and they are now on the right side of the law. They're on the right side of Jesus. They cook all their steaks medium rare, and they even order it when they go to the restaurants that are serving Hall of Fame beef.
The proud papa.
I got a quick rapid fire on your briskets. Are you wrapping them in butcher paper or foil?
I like butcher paper. I think there's, for some reason, it needs to breathe a little bit, but I'm going to give you a little secret. I do sous vide most of my briskets, especially when I'm cooking them in the winter, because my big custom offset smoker that I have, it's at the farm, and it's hard to maintain that temp when it's freaking cold and 40-mile-an-hour winds like it is outside today in Wisconsin. So I usually sous vide them, and then I'll finish them either on the grill or in the oven and get that really nice finished bark that you'd like to have. But I'm a butcher paper guy, but I think science has proven that. I'm not sure it really matters, but I think maybe that's just because that's what I started right now.
Membrane off or on when you're cooking ribs?
I like it off. I just think it provides a better texture to pull it off, so you don't have any of that membrane on the underside, because growing up in the Midwest, my mom used to boil ribs and then cook them, and she'd say, "Look, they're fall off the bone ribs." I'm like, "Yeah, and they're dry as a cork too." It doesn't mean I like it. But it wasn't until I went down to Texas with Colt McCoy and realized, wow, what a real barbecue rib tastes like, where it's not falling off the bone. There's a little bit of bite. You have to tug that meat right off the bone to be able to get it, but that's the proper texture that you want. And I think with that, you got to take the membrane off so you have that beautiful mouth experience that hits with the way it just tugs off the bone. And then once you start chewing it and you get through that light layer of bark, all those juices, those delicious fats, and that lovely smoke profile with some saltiness, and then it just melts in your mouth and you're just a happy man, ready to retire to the couch with a beer.
I'm hungry.
Hey, Joe, real quick before you go, are you a reader of fiction, or do you not have time for that? Like, you read before bed or no?
Nope. No time for reading, unfortunately, other than the World of Wagyu auction books I read.
All right. There's an author who writes about this character in Wisconsin, so I thought you might be interested, but I guess not. Thanks, Joe. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Man,
Good to see you.
Joe.
The
Easy,
Hall of
buddy.
Famer.
He's
my best
authority
friend,
on
Joe
football.
Thomas.
He's
Thanks,
authority
Joe.
on meat. He's
I just want to talk to him
cheese.
about offset smokers, pellet grills.
He's got an answer
wood.
for all that
I will
stuff,
say
man.
this: you guys had some commentary there that really made me be like, I don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, really?
Yeah, membrane.
The last question I
membrane.
didn't.
I'm like, membrane.
That was above my pay
And then
grade,
you had
yeah.
something else you asked too
Oh,
about
what kind of paper?
You got
paper,
put your
butcher-
paper.
I mean-
Hey, man, shout out to Les BBQ Texas in every way. I only watch cooking shows. Like,
Yeah, I know you do.
I only I watch a lot of barbecue joints and prime rib was coming around. So I'm in the cooking shows. It's much more easier.
My wife made an incredible meal this week.
What she put on?
We call it tater tot casserole.
I love it.
Okay.
I'm in already.
I'm already.
So on the bottom, it's a casserole dish. Bottom is ground beef.
Okay. Can't go wrong with that.
All right.
All right.
Above the ground beef is a layer of cheddar cheese.
Okay.
The next layer is cream of chicken soup. It kind of holds it together. I don't,
It's
love
a
by
binder.
itself. I don't like it. But
It's a
yeah.
binder. Don't worry. Yeah. This just binds everything. It's
Then
good.
another layer of cheese. I won't be eating this after my surgery. And then the tater tots on top, a little salt sprinkled, and then she bakes it for like 30 minutes. It is so good.
That is that is one of those are what we call those are homegrown meals. It's a little you get a lot with less.
It's comfort food.
Comfort food. It just makes you feel like, oh, this is my grandma, this is my mom, and then
And those are the best really on days like this.
yeah,
February, cold
yeah.
days,
And you
a nice
smell
hot
it.
casserole.
Nice
you're like,
casserole,
"Ooh,
a stew, a
what's
nice
cooking?"
stew.
Yeah, when your whole house, first floor usually smells like
or a
just
nice soup, maybe.
Just smells like grandma's kitchen.
Yeah, and I used to be at my grandma's kitchen, and we used to go to basketball games at the Civic Center, and people were like, where did you come from? I said, I came from my grandma's house because I could smell it all over you. And I'm like, listen, we had to start putting our leather coats in the basement in a bag because the smells was so robust and it gets in your clothes. But
Man,
it
it
just
sounds like me when I'm about to go get some hibachi.
Right.
I leave the good clothes at the house.
right. Yeah.
Literally, last week we were going to hibachi, my wife and I, and we were walking in. I'm like, honey, give me your coat. I put the coats back at the car.
This gonna be this
Well, that
boy.
was like, I mean, back in the day, you used to stink like cigarettes when you
Oh,
leave.
my
yeah.
God.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, that doesn't happen
Yeah.
anymore.
You can never go to the strip club. Too
All
much
right.
evidence.
Out of here.
All right, Anthony has replaced Mike in the
Hello,
director's
everybody.
chair or the producer's chair here.
Body
the final
swap.
half hour of the show. Anthony, what do you got for us next?
I want to remind everybody that G just did an Ultimate Browns show yesterday if you need some more Browns content. We're going to get back to the Browns right now with some Jerry Jeudy. He had a down year last year. What do you guys think he's going to get this year? Is
Yeah,
it
we just
closer to
asked-
2024 or 2025?
We just asked Joe Thomas about it, and he talked about the fact that Jerry Jeudy is a front runner, and because it depends on the team. I mean, what are your expectations, Dustin? Let's start with you for Jerry Jeudy for 26.
Expectations.
Yeah. Well, what do you think he's going to do?
I mean,
you think he's going to be as bad as he was this year? I mean, he had a really good year 2 years ago. No,
He had a really good 2 games in a
No,
row.
That's not fair.
I mean, he
He
had
had 1,200 yards.
Yeah, I know, but didn't he have like a 200-yard game?
He had a good stretch with Jameis. He had a good stretch with Jameis.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
stretch.
that certainly helped him. Well, Jameis Winston's not walking through that door next year, so I don't know that he's going to have another 1,000-yard year. I mean, I think that something like that right there, that 50 for 600, it's not a great year. The 2 touchdowns stinks. I'd love to see him double the touchdowns and have more yards, but I don't really have any expectations that he will.
I think it all boils down to 2 things. Jerry Jeudy will be considerably better as a guy who's not receiving number 1 attention. I don't think people understand, like, when you are playing against defensive backs and you're the number 1 receiver, if you have a guy who's a number 2 or a 2.5 and he's going against a number 1 corner, you're going to have problems. Because now that number 1 corner is going to nullify and neutralize your best asset. And the problem with Jerry Jeudy is he does not have a glaring strength. He doesn't have a guy where he's going to route you up like it's like, oh, this cat is so precise. Like he runs timing routes and he's open. He doesn't create a ton of separation. He's not really that great off press coverage. He's not really a 50-50 go up and contest the guy. He's not really a dude that's shifty that can just run by you. So he's just a good receiver at a plethora of things. So what you need, the Browns need to do is they need two more receivers. Jerry Jeudy is much more prevalent and a good receiver in the slot where he can get free releases. He can get some releases where he can use motion to get off coverage and move around in the middle of the field. I think if you had a better number one receiver or a guy that could really beat guys deep that had to take attention, Jerry Jeudy automatically looks a little better at 2. Automatically, because give me 5. If Jerry Jeudy's 5 touchdowns and 900 yards, just a nice Jerry Jeudy.
Well, they paid him to do more than that. But,
Yeah.
Hey, but we can't develop. We can't. We receivers ain't our thing, so we got to overpay.
I mean, listen, Jerry Jeudy, in his defense, in 2024, was really the only receiver in the Kevin Stefanski era that exceeded expectations. Right? Everybody else either underachieved or did. Like Amari Cooper was really good, but we expected him to be really good.
Well, Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I'm just spouting this off the top of my head, were the only 2 receivers here that were drafted in the first round that did something. I mean, they were not drafted by the Browns, but were first-round talents.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Have we had anybody else? I guess Odell too, but
Odell disappointed, in my
did.
opinion. He
He
disappointed
did.
compared to what we expected from him. We expected him to be,
But
he was
but
fine,
Jeudy and
but
Cooper
was,
were the 2 best receivers we've had, right? In the last,
Landry. Okay,
first-round pick, right? Wasn't he? Or was he? No, he's like a 3rd or 4th round pick.
No,
Yeah, he was a later round pick. I don't remember where it was.
Wasn't first.
But it
Wasn't first.
No,
Wasn't
no,
first,
no.
yeah.
But yeah, but like, I think I don't think Jerry Jeudy is it's really extreme. Like what we saw last year, I don't think he's that good. And what we saw this year, I don't think he's that bad. I think he's kind of like the guy we saw in Denver when he was number 2 to Cortland Sutton, which is a guy who's,
So go get
should
you
be an
go
800,
get you a
900
Cortland
yard
Sutton
guy.
this year.
And,
Get you
and
somebody, man.
I think he's a decent receiver. I think if things are going right, he's a perfectly fine number 2. But that's what he is. I don't think he's any better than that. I don't think he'll ever have a 1,000-yard season again.
Agreed.
You got to get a name in free agency and you got to draft one high. You got to get a name in free agency and you got to draft one.
I mean, who's a free agent?
I
don't even know. I'll take a look here.
Or trade for somebody. We talked about it. Listen, if you want to go back and give Brian Thomas, hey, listen, I like that trade. If you want to give him that pick back, give me Brian Thomas Jr. If they won't give him up, I'll take him. But I think AB might have to find somebody to trade for. Now, I don't know what they got and what they're willing to give up. But I think you have to trade for somebody experienced and you have to draft a receiver. And then it makes Jerry Jeudy a little better. Hopefully that makes your quarterback situation a lot better. And then now you can at least get to a point where you can have a competent offense. But I can't have Cedric Tillman and some of these other dudes. I just don't. That's nothing.
Okay, so there's not a ton in free agency.
What we looking at, Bulls?
So the best player is old, and that's Mike Evans.
And he'd be hurt too.
And he's not coming to the Browns.
And he ain't coming there. Yeah, no.
Yeah, he's going to go to a good team.
Yeah, nah.
The next best guy, I guess, is Christian Kirk.
He'd be hurt.
He's
too.
just okay.
He okay.
Debo Samuel, I don't want nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's it.
Anything else down there? What
Jawan Jennings, Rashid Shaheed, Diami Brown, Tutu Atwell. There's nothing.
There's
really nothing.
This Minimowski low key.
Yeah, I mean, you got Mike Evans who's going to go to a contender.
Yeah.
He's either going to stay in Tampa or go to a contender. And the other guys are so there's nothing in free agency. So if you're going to get a receiver, it's draft or trade. That's the option.
Trade.
There's not even like a good slot guy.
Right.
It's not like we draft the number 1 wide receiver. You have Jeudy could be your slot guy, really.
Right.
In a perfect world, he'd actually be your slot receiver.
A really nice slot receiver.
Yeah.
If they could just, and this is the problem, and look, I'll keep it real with you, man. This is when you don't develop no receivers, and you missed on all these guys. you would be looking for a guy to reassert, like say for instance a Jamari Thrash, or at this point a Cedric Tillman, or a Bell, or you drafted Schwartz in the 3rd round. I mean, you guys, we have not developed anything to a point where we even have considerable depth.
No, like Isaiah Bond and Cedric Tillman are 4th and 5th receivers. Now maybe Bond becomes better than that, but right now they look like a 4th and 5th guy. The rest of the guys are not even NFL players.
Bond has shown a nice ability to get deep. I think he might be a Godwin type guy where,
right, who's like a 4th or 5th receiver.
Yeah,
I mean, that's Cedric Tillman's worthy of being on an NFL roster, I guess, but like, if that's all you're saying about him, like, and Jamari Thrash, I mean, the rest of these guys, there's nothing there.
And they using Corley as a jet motion running back, like, so it's
again, those guys are all 4th and 5th receivers at best.
Yeah, so they got to, but I think they got to be aggressive, because the first thing that they have to do is realize that this receiving core is not giving you an opportunity to do a lot of things.
Yeah. I think they need to identify a big physical target that can be a Cortland Sutton type, and have someone come. We need a Metcalf.
Yeah.
We need a Pickens, who's not, but not a knucklehead. You need these guys, and I know it's hard to find with these receivers because all these cats are just like built differently.
Yeah,
like they just got different DNA. But it'd be nice to have a guy that was a true number one.
Yeah.
Who was a team first guy. Those are rare.
We talked about A.J. Brown.
When you said that.
And the guy I would take, and I've been saying it for a while, I'd take Elijah Surratt. I don't think they'd probably be able to get him, but that's a guy who played for Signetti at JMU and Indiana. Yeah. He's going to be a team first guy, and he's a big physical red zone threat. Someone like that.
Me and Ty have been doing this film breakdown on college receivers. We got Elijah Surratt in
the
bracket. And then we got another young dude from Georgia. Well, he went to USC. What's his name? The little scat guy, if I'm remembering. Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
It's gonna make me.
Where's he at now?
He's at Georgia. He was a receiver for USC, transferred over to Georgia.
It's hard to keep track of.
Yeah.
It's 70.
Did you see that yesterday? That some quarterback is going to Incarnate Word. It's like his 7th school.
I mean, I saw something.
Yeah.
This was like weeks ago.
Yeah. COVID's been 6 years at this point. How are guys still able to get all these years?
Yeah, Zachariah Branch. Zachariah Branch. He went to USC. He's down at Georgia. So I like Surratt too.
Okay.
I want to see what
the COVID stuff's over. So it was the 7-year thing. This is the last year.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the last year.
He must have got a COVID year and then an additional medical waiver.
Right. Okay. Okay.
But the 7 years is done.
And they even getting strict because the dude from
somebody else wanted
from
to transfer.
Ole Miss, like the Ole Miss dude, the quarterback wanted to get the next year to come back to Ole Miss. Chambliss.
Yeah.
And I thought they approved it. Then they were like, nah, we're not approving it. And now he's appealing it.
Right. You should appeal it.
Yeah.
If anybody, that guy should be able to get a 6th year.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody else is.
That's what I'm saying.
Silly that,
and this guy played Division II.
Yeah, right.
And he didn't even play that year.
Yeah.
He's just played 1 year of FBS football.
So, he should.
Damn near went to the Natty.
Yeah. Let him come back.
All right, Anthony. Let's do something we haven't done on the show in forever.
Well,
Talk a little baseball.
Excited.
Go ahead.
There you go.
Before we get to the Guardians, if you guys want more Cleveland Cavs coverage, Mike and Jason did do a show giving out their grades yesterday, so go check out the Ultimate Cavs show.
All right.
Bull, are you ready for just some ESPN offseason rankings?
I guess. Let me see what they got.
I should have had this pulled up. I'm so sorry.
So what is this? This is okay. Let me bring it up then. We got it. There was an ESPN article. So we haven't talked about the Guardians in a while.
At all.
They did their projections on average of the simulations. The Guardians average, we'll say 78 wins a game, make the playoffs 20%, just under 20% of the time, 1/5, and actually win a championship 1 out of every 200 times they run the simulation.
No, this is 5%, or is that a 0.5%?
That's 0.5%.
So that's half of 1%.
Yes.
Also, that's crazy. That's wild.
Yes.
You are worried at 0.5%.
So let me say this, because
do you agree with that?
So my projections for the Guardians in terms of the win total would be a little higher than that. Actually, a decent amount higher than that. I got them right now as like an 83, 84 win team, which is a good deal difference from 79. Like 83, 84. Maybe you're making the playoffs. I mean, listen, as the Guardians currently stand, their pitching, top to bottom, relief pitching, starting pitching, relief pitching, is playoff caliber. It's good enough. Is it the best? No. Is it good enough to be a playoff team? Absolutely. The lineups remain. Defense is good enough. The base running is good enough. The lineup is not, unless you get a lot of young players hitting their stride this year. And we've been saying that same thing about the Guardians for a number of years.
About how many years?
The truth is that unlike the Browns, who let you down almost every year, the Guardians, more often than not, are a pleasant surprise. And as much as I've hated the lineup for a while now, since COVID, basically, they've made the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years with a lineup that is big-time lacking in terms of especially power. Last year was crazy. Obviously, they were, 15 and a half games out, I think it was, and they found their way in. They have not addressed any of their offensive needs this year.
Ever.
They have spent almost no money.
And money was coming off the books.
And money is – the Guardians at the moment, I believe, have the lowest payroll in all of baseball as of today. Maybe they're 29th, but I'm pretty sure they're dead last.
Is it like 60 million?
It's about 60 million. Or technically it's about 70 million, but that includes Luis Ortiz and Emmanuel Clase, but that money's not going to count because they're going to be
And then just for reference,
yeah.
Dodgers are what? 300 million?
Over that.
400
the Dodgers and Mets are around probably 300 plus.
Yeah, okay.
So that's an issue. I think every other.
That's an issue.
That's a problem.
But you know what you know what's really frustrating is that teams that like the Guardians that don't spend have spent this winter. Now, they haven't spent crazy.
Give me an example.
The Pirates have spent some money. The A's have spent some money. The Marlins have spent some money. The White Sox have spent. I know Chicago's a big market, but Chicago's the Cubs. The White Sox are like a small market team. All 4 of those teams have spent some money this offseason. I think every other team is at least at 100 or 90 million at least, if not 100, in terms of their payroll. You know, the only team, there's one team in baseball that has spent less money than the Guardians this offseason. I will give you a clue. You wouldn't have guessed it. Wouldn't be a team you would guess.
Yankees.
No.
Red Sox.
The Red Sox have spent $0. Now the Guardians haven't spent a lot, but they've paid for a couple of relief pitchers. They re-signed Austin Hedges, of course. So I think the Guardians have spent like $15 million, maybe not even. The Red Sox have spent 0. Not a single. They haven't signed a single major league. They made a trade and got a player, but they haven't spent any money in free agency. But and there's a number of hitters out there still that could help the Guardians, but they're unfortunately don't appear to be. Maybe they'll make a trade here. You know, we've seen some trades yesterday. We've seen the Marlins have made 2 trades, one with the Cubs, one with the Yankees over the last week. I think. You know, there are some interesting players that they could trade for. I'd be at this point if they signed one proven bat or traded for one proven bat. They need 2 in my opinion, but I could live with 1. And it doesn't even have to be a superstar at this point. Just a good player.
It's
just
crazy.
A good player.
They got rid of. You know, it's funny. They had Naylor, and when they had Naylor and Ramirez and Quan, we said it still wasn't enough.
Yep.
And then they got rid of Naylor, and then he turned out to be like he's a really good player. Like
he re-signed with Seattle.
He re-signed there, so now it's like now you down to Ramirez, and Quan came back down to earth. And he isn't even hitting for that much. He doesn't
now.
hit power.
I will say this: I'm expecting a big season from Kyle Manzardo. He had a very good first full season in the majors. I'm expecting him to be better.
They better not. I don't want to see him out of games. I don't.
No, he's going to play every day.
Every day.
He'll play every day. He'll play 150 games. But so we got him at, we'll say, first base, right? We got Jose at third. You got Quan at left. And as much as I don't like it, they're going to do the Bo Naylor and Austin Hedges thing behind the plate. The rest of the team, I mean, there's a lot.
Valera.
Like I think C.J. Kafis is going to be on the team. I think Valera is going to be on the team.
DeLauder.
Chase DeLauder. And I like all three of those guys, especially DeLauder, but they've barely played in the big leagues. You know, DeLauder made his major league debut in the playoffs last year.
So
listen,
put him up there.
If they'll,
What do you got to lose?
I think they'll all be. I think they will all be on the team to start the season. Those three guys, especially DeLauder and even Valera, have pretty high potential. Well, if all three of those guys can play at their highest capability, this team's good and will be in the playoffs. That's a big if.
That's where their power potential is coming from.
Well, they all three of those guys, especially DeLauder and Kafis, have power. Manzardo's obviously got power. Yeah.
Now, I don't know, man. Are we going to second guess this Bazana thing? Because these other dudes that
Nick Kurtz, who was a top 5 pick by the A's, won Rookie of the Year last year. He had a magnificent season. We got to give him a chance to get to the majors, but obviously, you know, the Cardinals' top pick that year, J.J. Weatherholt, he's going to be in the big leagues this year.
One of the guy that they got drafted in the top 10 in the third base was hitting the ball very well.
Let me look at it. I'll bring it.
The last couple of years, it's a guy that
it was the 2024 MLB draft. Okay, so the 2024 MLB draft, Travis Bazana.
When was Cal Raleigh drafted?
No, that was a much longer time.
How many years ago was he drafted?
Long, at least 10.
Dang.
Really?
10 years
Yeah, he's
ago?
been in the league for a long time.
Dude, I thought that dude was like a rookie.
Yeah.
No. So Travis Bazana was the first pick in the draft in 2024.
Okay.
The second pick was a pitcher by the name of Chase Burns with Cincinnati. He made his major league debut last year.
Okay, cool.
Looked pretty good, but he's a pitcher.
We're not going to kill him on that one.
The third pick, Charlie Condon. I haven't heard about him. I don't know what. That's the Rockies. They screw everything up. The fourth pick is Nick Kurtz. He had a massive season for the A's last year, won Rookie of the Year. The fifth pick, Hagen Smith. I think he's a pitcher. The sixth pick, Jack Caglione, came up with the Royals. A lot of power, but he did not play well. Mm-hmm. The seventh pick, J.J. Weatherholt, is going to probably start the season in the majors with the Cardinals. Christian Moore was the eighth pick. He's the Angels. He played a little bit in the big leagues last year. And Connor Griffin is the ninth pick. He's a pitcher with the Pirates. He'll probably be in the big leagues as well. But the 12th pick that year by the Red Sox, Braden Montgomery. Oh, no, wait a second. Is he the guy that was on the White Sox? Yeah. So Braden Montgomery actually got traded to the White Sox, and he was good as a rookie this past season. So there's been a number of guys. Let's see if there's a Cam Smith, the 14th pick by the Cubs, traded to the Astros, had an okay rookie season in the big leagues. The 19th pick, Carson Benji, is going to start in center field for the Mets this year. The 20th pick for the Blue Jays, Trey Savage, starting pitcher, was great for the Blue Jays in the playoffs. He pitched in the World Series. And that's it.
Well, at least these guys, it seems like have a trajectory where either they played some, or are scheduled to play this year up here.
Yeah, Bazana's got to be in the big leagues by this summer. Otherwise, you start to really panic. I think he's going to be fine. I'll be surprised if he ends up being better than Nick Kurtz, who the A's took. So, yeah, I mean, you know.
Second base. I just always, they always told me, bro, like, you listen to baseball people, they say, listen, I don't know. It's drafting a second baseman is like saying I need an offensive lineman and I'm gonna take a guard. Like,
I don't believe that. I don't agree with that.
Like,
no, I don't agree with that.
Is he going? If he plays,
I think he might. I have a friend of mine who knows like college baseball, minor league baseball really well. He told me he thinks Bazana will eventually be an outfielder.
Hey, by the way, question on college baseball. Is it just me, or is college baseball becoming better?
It is.
It is.
And I think the players are more recognizable now.
And it's more
watchable. And now we're more...
And I think, again, I'm an outsider. I'm a casual baseball fan.
Yeah, I don't follow college baseball that closely either.
I follow it a little bit because I can bet on it. And the games are awesome. Right. And I like aluminum bats. But I feel like guys are playing longer in college. Now we have NIL too.
Yeah.
So that could help. And then maybe guys will get to the majors faster if they play more in college.
Because what baseball does.
Didn't the Giants just hire the dude from Tennessee, the coach?
They did. First time it's ever happened. So
what
Dustin's talking about is, they hired the Tennessee baseball coach
to be their
major league coach. Yeah. No coach ever has gone straight from college to, like, the manager of the Brewers was a longtime coach at Notre Dame, but he coached in the minors, and then he had
some experience in
he was a
professional
bench
baseball.
coach before he became the manager there.
Why? Because the game is just different?
It's very different, yes. I mean, you're playing aluminum bats versus wooden bats. That's a crazy difference.
Different schedule. I mean, you're not playing. You're not playing 162 games.
No, you play 40.
You're managing a roster. There's all kinds of things. That are
Until
different.
recently, there was no money involved, obviously, and but college baseball is getting bigger. It's getting a little bigger.
I watch the college World Series every year.
Yeah, it's never going to be basketball or football, but it's definitely gotten bigger.
I watch women's softball every year.
Vitello.
Yeah.
It was the coach.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I went to a game there. I actually went to when I was doing the spring game at Tennessee.
Good atmosphere.
They had a baseball game that day. I went. They were playing LSU at the time. They were also a top 25 team.
Yeah.
Maybe they were top 10. It was a great matchup. Great
Oh,
crowd, awesome atmosphere. It was in the spring. It was
the
beautiful.
Southeast is Southeast and California is great college baseball.
Another school that's got good baseball is just that? Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, they've been
their
pretty
baseball
good.
stadium, dude. It's right next to their football stadium is like it's okay.
Yeah.
Their baseball stadium's immaculate, dude.
awesome.
Really cool.
I was watching something on Instagram the other day, and somebody said, nowadays when you look at Division II and Division III baseball, he said, nowadays you got guys in teams where you got guys in Division II or III throwing 94, 95. He was like, it's
a lot
not
of throwers.
He was like, just the talent pool is greater because I think more and more people are being special. Like basketball is elitist. Football is kind of dangerous. So I think a lot of people at a younger age are like, hey, let's get in these cages.
I hope so.
Hey, let's go do this. Let's go do this. Like,
I started this fall baseball league. I'm starting now in conjunction with the Rocky River Rec Center. I'm starting this new baseball league for kids who are finishing 7th and 8th grade that don't want to play travel but want to keep playing baseball. And there's been a lot of interest.
Really smart of
so,
you.
Yeah, it's cool.
Dude, travel baseball sucks.
It's ridiculous.
Well, I know we got to get to this. It's expensive.
Yeah.
And it's terrible for the parents. Time. It's just ridiculous.
Why would you have 7th and 8th graders
flying all over the place?
Well, not flying. I mean, they're not flying, but
you're still driving
in some
hours.
levels they are, but hours.
Hours.
When the odds of any of those kids getting a college scholarship to play baseball, let alone go further than that, is minuscule.
Anthony.
Right. Yeah, go ahead, Anthony. Let's get
let me get
chats.
through a couple of these super chats here, guys. Jordan says, save the Pro Bowl means pros versus Joes.
I like that.
Guys would get killed, but that'd be funny.
James Mace 47 says the Browns, Steelers, and Ravens are all kind of at a reset, and the Browns will not have an excuse anymore as to why they can't turn the organization around.
No, that's not fair. The Ravens are not at a reset at all. They got Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
actually, they may be a reset at coach, but
did you hear that Harbaugh that he fired Harbaugh over the phone? He kind of
that's hard to believe.
He kind of was driving home from the facility and said, when I made the decision, I knew he was driving home, and I told him like, hey. I figured it would be kind of corny to tell you to come on way back here so I could just fire you. And he's like, no, Harbaugh's like, no problem.
Yeah.
Like, so.
I mean, also, that owner's like, says his mind.
Yeah.
That's why they don't let him. Jason made the point in our text chat yesterday. It's like they don't let him talk very often.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the owner.
I know, but they encourage him not to talk.
Well, because they mentioned Tomlin getting fired in the middle of the press conference. It's funny. Go ahead. Super chats.
Richard says, how would you guys feel about Mike McDaniel as the Ravens coach?
I wouldn't care one way or the other.
I think he's a good coach, so I would be nervous.
Go ahead.
Topo 42, Dustin, right now with the Buckeyes, Tomlin or Day?
Don't put me in that spot. There's two guys I like a lot, and I know personally. I mean, I'm not going to put that on the air. I mean, I think they're both great coaches.
Mike Tomlin's not leaving. I mean, I would obviously take Mike Tomlin, but
it's not obvious because Ryan Day has lost very few football games in college. He's won a national championship in the last 2 years. He was just in the play. Like it's to say you want a guy to replace a guy who just won the Natty.
I get it. There's no.
Is there anybody off limits, Dustin? Is anybody that's truly safe? Like if Andy Reid loses games next year, people
I got to cut you guys off because Anthony's panicking. We need more super
I'm sorry,
chats.
guys.
Let's go.
Anthony's not panicking.
I didn't even move.
I thought you were panicking.
No, we only
Go
have
ahead.
3 left. It's fine.
Okay.
Brody Bottom Line says Lamar will say no thanks to Kevin. James Mace says the Steelers are probably going to suck next year and land Arch Manning in 27. And then KT says Mobley gives me Andrew Wiggin vibes. Too passive. There you go. That's all your super chats.
Hey, like,
well, Wiggins turned it on though. At some point.
Yeah, no, Wiggins won a championship in this league.
Yeah,
like
as more than a role player.
Yeah, as a slightly second option.
Yeah.
Like he won
second option.
He was third,
but he was one of the reasons they won. Like he just played awesome. Like for the Golden State Warriors when he was there. But yeah, Arch Manning to Pittsburgh, I don't like that. I just don't like that because they got
Early in the year when he was killing Arch Manning, now we love him again?
Nah, he'll turn out to be good in Pittsburgh, and that's just our
Can
luck.
you believe that that touchdown run he had in the bowl game he was running almost 22 miles per hour?
Really?
Oh, he played really good.
From that family. You wouldn't have guessed it.
Cooper.
He got better.
Cooper
was a wide receiver, right?
Yeah, he can run a little bit.
Yeah.
He got better down the stretch. He played great in that bowl game.
Yep.
He played
All right.
great.
Stick around. We got overtime coming up. What are we talking about in overtime? We're going to figure it out?
We'll figure it out as we go.
We'll figure it out in the 3 minutes between the end of this show and overtime. And if you're not with us in overtime, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. See ya.